America's most storied tracks, Santa Anita Park in Arcadia, California. In racing's golden age, this is where Hollywood and the horses met. Many of the biggest names in show business were regulars here. And in fact, people like Spencer Tracy, Bing Crosby, and Errol Flynn owned horses that ran at Santa Anita. In the late 1930s, Santa Anita was Seabiscuit's home track. In 2003, more than 60 years after the Biscuit ran and won his last race here, the Depression-era legend galloped across movie screens in the very popular film adaptation of Laura Hillenbrand's lyrical book. The renewed public fascination with Seabiscuit, coupled with Funnyside's improbable run at the Triple Crown, seemed to restore some of horse racing's luster. And in fact, Funnyside will be here today running in the Breeders' Cup Classic. It's already been an eventful week at Santa Anita. On Tuesday, the track marked the passing of the great Bill Shoemaker with a moving memorial service. The Shoe was a 4'11" giant who, like Seabiscuit, achieved a kind of popularity and acclaim that transcended his sport. Millions who never picked up a racing form knew and loved Willie Shoemaker, a man once described by the great sports writer Jim Murray as a guy who rode a horse the way DiMaggio played a fly ball, or Sinatra sang a ballad with ease and grace, as if he were born to do it. Shoemaker is part of the pantheon here at Santa Anita, along with Johnny Longden and Lafitte Pincay. There's certainly plenty of history here, and perhaps more to be made today, as we bring you the 2003 Breeders' Cup.
The San Gabriel Mountains providing the perfect backdrop for one of the most majestic venues in the horse racing world, Santa Anita Park in Arcadia, California, where the Oak Tree meeting is underway and where today the 20th Breeders' Cup World Thoroughbred Championships will unfold. The third time Santa Anita has hosted Championship Day, but the first time in 10 years. Seabiscuit had some of his greatest moments here, and in those days, Santa Anita, with its close proximity to Hollywood, was a regular playground for the stars. And so it is again today. Gary Stevens travels in both worlds after his role in the Seabiscuit movie. He'll be back in the saddle today, along with other proven box office attractions, including Julie Crone in the midst of a sensational comeback. The headline performer in the trainer ranks has been Bobby Frankel, who could shatter several records today. And don't forget the four-legged stars like Funnyside, with his down-to-earth owners and 2 wins in the Triple Crown. Well, it's a beautiful day so far. The temperature right now, 62 degrees, but don't be misled by that. The weather has been unseasonably hot in Southern California. In fact, this week, the temperature has reached triple digits, and we're expecting it to be up in the 90s today before we're finished at Santa Anita, and it could be a factor for some of the horses that have come from cooler weather areas. The current temperature is 62, but scheduled to climb at least into the 90s today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Santa Anita. I'm Tom Hammond, and it certainly is difficult to believe that this is the 20th edition of the Breeders' Cup, a concept devised by horseman John Gaines, and a series that has produced some of the greatest moments in the history of racing. For a while, it appeared that this 20th Breeders' Cup would be more notable for the horses that were absent, retired, or injured, like Mineshaft, Candy Ride, Empire Maker, and Azeri. But now, poised for the beginning of the 8-race, $14 million day, it's obvious that virtually all of the year-end championships will be decided on the track today, including Horse of the Year. And as always, we get right to the action with the Distaff. The first race today for the fillies and mares, notable by her absence, is Azeri, the reigning Horse of the Year, who won the Distaff last year on her way to claiming that title. Here are the current odds. Take Charge Lady at 6-1, Adoration a long shot. Lady Tack at 12, by the Sport has 30. Sight Seek, Bobby Frankel trained 1-2, the favorites. Ella Love at 8-1, and Got Coco at 5-1. And there is a look at Sight Seek. And right now, Bob Newmeyer is with Bobby Frankel.
Well, how do you parlay $7 into $150 million? You are if you're trainer Bobby Frankel, and here is his magnificent filly Sightseek, the 1-2 favorite in the Distaff, as Bobby starts to walk out of the paddock here at Santa Anita along with the horse. This is an amazing guy. Again, he started with $7. He earned it as a caddy in New York. His mother took him to Aqueduct in those days. He began as a player and then a trainer. And here he is 40 years later with over $150 million in purses in his checkbook. Today, he has a chance to become the first trainer to ever win 24 Grade 1 races. He has 8 horses in 5 races, including Sightseek, the 1-2 favorite in the distaff you're about to see. Tom?
All right, Bob, and it's been an eventful month already for Bobby Frankel. He was married a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago, to Bonita Boniface. Now let's go down to Kenny Rice.
Thanks, Tom. If jockey Alex Solis didn't have an affinity for shark fin soup, then Los Angeles area restaurant owner Paul Leung would not have a horse here in the Breeders' Cup. Solis frequents Leung's restaurant, and he told him one day, Leung did, that I'd like to have a good horse. So Solis put him in touch with trainer Bruce Headley. The result of that, he bought half interest in Got Coco, who's won 5 out of 7 races over this track at Santa Anita. Her last time out, she upset the reigning horse of the year, Azeri. Over the years, Tom, we've seen people spend millions of dollars, take long years of arduous planning in the breeding process, but I think this is the first time that a guy has made it to the Breeders' Cup as an owner because he makes a good bowl of soup and he has a good horse in this race.
It'll be shark fin soup all around if Got Coco gets the money today, and there's been a recent buzz last couple of weeks about perhaps she could claim the older mare title should she win today. She did defeat Azeri, though she was getting weight that day. She ended Azeri's 11-race winning streak, and Azeri was discovered to have bled in the race and had an elevated white cell count and eventually was declared out of the distaff, but Got Coco with championship aspirations today. Always an exciting time before this first race. And the call riders up as Bobby Frankel gives a leg up to Jerry Bailey, who will be aboard the favorite Sightseek, and Frankel with a chance to break that record. So Frankel already holds the North American record for Grade 1 wins, and look at that, the next closest pursuer, trainer Todd Pletcher, with 5. Bobby Frankel has 23, and should he win one of the Grade 1 races on today's 8-race card, he will have the international record. He's currently tied with Aidan O'Brien, the Irish trainer. O'Brien, by the way, is here today as well. There you see the scene and the scenic paddock here at Santa Anita as they make their way from the tunnel toward the track for our first race, the Breeders' Cup Distaff.
Andy, don't go there.
And we're joined now by Charlesy Canty. Charlesy, welcome once again. And we spoke earlier of the heat. It's been unseasonably warm and 100-degree temperatures. Horses coming from Europe and even from the East Coast of the United States have to be at a great disadvantage.
Well, horses are cold weather animals, and they can cope with heat and perform very well in the heat. But as long as they're acclimatized, it's the abrupt changes that get you in trouble. That's why everyone feels that the Europeans, and maybe even the horses from New York, might be vulnerable today. But I've watched these European horses train here all week, and every day they seem to have adjusted better and better. So it may not be as big an issue as we think.
The horses from Europe have started to grow their thick winter coats. Do they just clip that off?
Most of the European horses that have come in have been clipped. They've kept fans on all of these horses in the afternoon. They get extra electrolytes, extra fluids, etc., to replace what they've sweated away. The real trouble will come after the race, if there is to be any trouble. That's when we'll see signs of distress, if the heat is a big factor.
And they'll keep a close eye on the horses today. Just like human athletes, they have to be careful in extreme heat. And there's a look at Sightseek. She's been sensational in recent weeks, and deservedly so, is the favorite. And she's currently at 3-5. And the first race on the card, the Distaff, presented by Nextel for fillies and mares 3 and up. Grade 1 race, $2 million the purse. The distance is 1 mile and 1/8. And number 1 is Take Charge Lady, the 4-year-old filly trained by Ken McPeak, who was a disappointing 6th in the Distaff last year. And like last year, she tuned up with a victory in Keeneland Spinster. Consistent, she's been 1st or 2nd in 15 of her last 16 starts. Number 2 is Adoration, owned by John and Jerry Ammerman. John, the former CEO of Mattel, the toy maker. And Adoration, better than a wind-up toy. She's nevertheless a long shot. She does have good early speed. Number 3, Lady Tack. Trainer Steve Asmussen tries to join his brother Cash, the jockey, as a Breeders' Cup winner. They would be the first brother combo to do that. And this filly, winner of the Grade 1 Test Stakes, she has a shot at the 3-year-old filly title if she can handle the distance today. Number 4, By the Sport, another 3-year-old filly trained by former jockey Robert Barbara. She came over from Europe this summer, won the Gazelle, then was 3rd behind Sightseek in the Beldame. Number 5 is Sightseek, the hottest filly in the country, winner of 4 straight Grade 1 races, but she's 0 for 3 at Santa Anita. She's a half-sister to Tate's Creek, who runs in the filly and mare turf today. She could give Bobby Frankel that world record. The 6 horses, Elo Love, who showed a new dimension for trainer Craig Delassie when she rated behind the pace setters in the Ladies' Secret, though she was disqualified from 2nd to 4th in that race, has a chance to be named champion 3-year-old filly with a victory today. And completing the field, number 7 is Got Coco. That's a Hawaiian expression that means you have native island blood. She gets no respect. The Texas bred has 5 stakes wins. She's beaten both Horse of the Year Azeri and Sightseek. She's won 7 of 13, yet she has never been favored. And that's the field for the Breeders' Cup Distaff. Now let's join our handicappers, Mike Battaglia, Bob Newmeyer, to see how they analyze the race. Guys?
Well, the question everybody wants to know, Mike, is how do you pick a winner? Well, you can pick a lucky number or a color or a jockey. But I know you taught a class at Transylvania University. I
Years
can't make
ago,
this
Bob.
up in handicapping.
Yes, I did, and I used a little bit different method than picking names and colors. You know, though, it's very tough. The class is the most important thing. If a horse doesn't have a class to fit in that race, they're not going to win. I think pace is hugely important. Now, who's going to be in front, who's going to come off. You look at recent form, you look at the distance of the race, you look at the jockey, the trainer, you look at the weights, you look at post position. There's just so many things that go into picking a winner.
I was only a student in that class. I'm a numbers guy. Speed figures and odds. Bang for your buck. In other words, the best horse at the best price. Sure, you use the speed figures to give you an idea who the contenders are, but you have to go against the flow, I think, to make money in this game, Mike, and that's a perfect lead into this race.
You are a madman, Bob. I'm going to go for the favorite in this race. I'm not trying to beat the favorite in this race. I like Sightseek. There she is on the track right now. Sightseek is going to be able to lay right off of this pace. I think the pace will be quick enough. Jerry Bailey's going to lay right back off of the early leaders. Her recent form, awesome. 4 straight Grade 1 wins. You already talked about Frankel. We talk about Bailey. That's a tough team to beat, Frankel and Bailey. And Sightseek, I don't like the price at 3 to 5 right now, but I think she's the winner. Well,
again, she's the obvious horse. But again, going against the flow, the key to make money at the racetrack. So should the favorite falter? Elo Love is my choice. A recent sharp race over this very racetrack. She's up there at a square price of 8 to 1. So if you like the favorite, and Mike Battaglia does 98% of the time, he goes for Sightseek. I'll shop for Elo Love in the opener.
We ought to mention, too, Take Charge Lady, the top horse. This filly, mare, she's raced 20 times, 18 times she's been first or second. She doesn't get respect. She's 6 to 1 today.
Now, when you taught at Transylvania, right?
I taught at Transylvania.
Was Dracula one of your students there?
There were some bloodsuckers in there, yes.
All right, Tom, back to you.
Pretty tough for the professor to flunk a student when he can't pick a winner himself, is all I have to say. If you'd like to match wits with Bob and Mike, you can log on to NBCSports.com. In-depth coverage of today's Breeders' Cup action, video replays of each race, and in that online cyber capping, Sightseek, the favorite for 37% of the voters so far. Try to outwit Bob and Mike today at NBCSports.com. Here's a look at Sightseek, the favorite in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. First race on today's 8-race, $14 million card. The Breeders' Cup World Thoroughbred Championships are brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. By Bessemer Trust, enhancing private wealth for generations. By Alberto VO5, hair care for real life. And by Nextel, offering you the coast-to-coast walkie-talkie for instant communication. Hey, approaching post time for the first Breeders' Cup race today in the Nextel Distaff. And let's update you on the current odds as Sightseek continues to draw the money. Take Charge Lady 6 to 1, Adoration 35, Lady Tack at 12, By the Sport 35 to 1, Sightseek 3 to 5 favorite, and a lot of money bet on her to show. They call them bridge jumpers, those that want to collect a sure thing by betting to show, risking their money today. Elo Love is 8 to 1 and Got Coco. And Bobby Frankel, with a victory today, has 24 Grade 1 wins this year, which would be an international record. And he has a 3-5 favorite to try to give him that mark. Of course, you remember Bobby went forever without a Breeders' Cup winner. His first 36, he was 0 for 36 until Squirtle Squirt won the sprints at Belmont Park 2 years ago to break the jinx. Last year, of course, he ran 1-2 in the filly and mare turf. And hoping for a big day today. He has favorites in several of the races, and all of them are highly regarded. One horse, Charles, that's not getting a whole lot of respect is Take Charge Lady. One of the real predictors for success at the Breeders' Cup has been Keeneland's Spinster Stakes. She's won it 2 years in a row.
And this filly has never finished worse than second in her career, except for 2 disastrous Breeders' Cup performances. Last year, she really ran poorly in the distaff. Her trainer, Ken McPeak, changed his tactics this year, decided he was going to train her up to it a little softer and save her best edge for this performance in the Breeders' Cup. Her assistant trainer and exercise rider Helen Pitts reports that she really took to this racetrack yesterday, moved better over it than she did at Keeneland. So watch out for Take Charge Lady. She never quits trying.
Been a lot of debate recently about the older mare championship. Azeri had won 11 in a row and had that string broken by Got Coco, giving her weight. Not able to defend her distaff title. Some say that Got Coco could take it with a victory today. Mike Battaglia feels strongly that she cannot. Is that right, Mike?
I really don't think so. I think there's only 2 horses that can win the championship in the distaff division, and that's Azeri and Sightseek. If Sightseek wins today, she gets it. If she doesn't, nobody's done enough to dethrone Azeri. She beat Got Coco at Del Mar. She gave her 9 pounds that day. She beat Take Charge Lady at Oaklawn. She gave her 5 pounds. And the last time out when she got beat, she was spotting Got Coco 10 pounds, and she bled. She's definitely the queen of racing right now. I know she's not here today. If she were, she'd be the short price favorite in here. And I think the only filly that could upset her, or that could dethrone her rather, would be Sightseek if she wins here this afternoon.
Well, Got Coco has defeated them both, but as you said, in Azeri's case, getting a lot of weight. And Bobby Frankel, in addition to that Grade 1 mark, has a chance today to pass the all-time North American earning record in a single year. Frankel has earned $16.6 million. Wayne Lucas set the record in '88 with $17.8 million. And you see on Got Coco, Alex Solis adjusting his goggles. The jockeys must be anticipating too the excitement of the day. Their heart has to be beating 100 miles an hour. And Charles, the horses probably pick up on that, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. And there's a huge crowd here today. Their schedule is a little off. They're here early in the morning at 10:30. They know clearly something is very much up. But these are tough veteran fillies. They all are great performers. And the distaff historically has been a really solid performance from these distaffs. 9 of the 19 winners in the 19 runnings have been the favorite. And that's a mark of consistency with these mares. Certainly Sightseek, who has just been dominating the fillies back east. There's a look at her there. Much has been made of the fact that she's 0 for 3 here at Santa Anita. But Bobby Frankel says they were letting her get too close to the pace when she was running here at Santa Anita, and that's why she got nipped at the end. They've taken her back a little bit now. Jerry Bailey will snug her back off that early pace, and she should come running late. But also Got Coco. She's 5 for 7 here at Santa Anita. These fillies love this track, and they always run their best.
And Sightseek, as you see, 1-2, despite the fact she has never won at Santa Anita. Well, the fillies and mares get a break. The distaff performers out just past 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, where it hadn't gotten too hot yet. And Sightseek, the shortest priced distaff favorite since Riboletta at 2-5 back in 2000. And the horses loading into the gate for the Breeders' Cup distaff, and the man who has called every Breeders' Cup race the past 19 years, going for number 20 today, is Tom Durkin. Tom, welcome once again.
Thank you, Tom Hammond. And the final horse moving into line. Got Coco breaking from post position number 7 in this 20th Breeders' Cup distaff.
Come on.
They're in the gate. And they're off in the Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita. And down toward the inside, Adoration breaking alertly today. Lady Tack with some early speed. Take Charge Lady comes away down toward the inside as they move by us for the first time. Adoration takes the early lead. Adoration seizes the early initiative, and here comes Ella Love, who's moving right to her in the early going. Lady Tech right there in the thick of it. Got Coco's up close to the pace today. Up but 4 wide, and down toward the inside. Take charge, Lady Saban, ground all the way. And heavily favored Sightseek takes a position at the back of the Packerly, and long shot by the Sport just to her inside. The opening quarter went in 23 and 1/5 seconds. The pace is strong. The leader is Adoration. Pat Valenzuela trying to nurse her on that lead. She leads by a measured length. Ella Love right there, hard on her heels, running in second. Take Charge Lady is third. Lady Tack is very eager today. She's tugged her way up fourth in between horses, only a length and a half from the lead. Got Coco is remaining in the clear on the outside as they continue down the backstretch run. Jerry Bailey has Sightseek 5 lengths from the lead with 4 furlongs to go. They ran a half, 47 seconds flat. The field approaching the far turn. It's Adoration. Adoration opens up now, 2.5 lengths on the field, and Lady Tack is giving her cue now. Ella Love driving on the outside. Ella Love is running in second. Lady Tack down to her inside, races in third, and Sightseek is in the midst of her rally, but she's toiling 5 lengths from the lead. Got Coco's under the whip as the field turns for home, chasing Adoration. Adoration comes off the turn, running on strongly, leading by 2.5 lengths. Ella Love is giving chase in second. Lady Tack sputtering down toward the inside. Got Coco, too much to do. Sightseek, not today. And they're coming down to the wire. And it's going to be a wire-to-wire tour de force by Adoration and Pat Valenzuela. 5 resounding lengths to win the opener here. Final time, 146 flat. It was 5 lengths back to Ella Love. Farther back, Got Coco. Well, they went wire to wire here this afternoon in the opener at Santa Anita. The final time was 149 flat. And congratulations for winning jockey Pat Valenzuela, who rode a marvelous race here this afternoon.
Indeed he did, Tom Durkin. P-Val, as they call him in these parts, the leading rider here at the Oak Tree meeting, records his 7th Breeders' Cup victory. And Pat Valenzuela in the midst of a pretty good comeback of his own. He's battled substance abuse throughout his career, apparently has his life straightened out now, and goes to the front, backs them up, and wins at 40-1. Is this a sign of things to come today? A huge upset in the first Breeders' Cup race.
There was a pertinent change of equipment here with Adoration. Trainer David Hoffmans, who gave us Alphabet Soup to win the Classic some years back, removed the blinkers from Adoration. He fussed at P-Val for rating her strongly last time out. He said, relax and let her just relax along on the lead. Don't fight with her. He didn't, and look what happened.
Adoration and Patrick Valenzuela, winner of the Breeders' Cup Distaff. A great story. P-Val on his comeback, his first Breeders' Cup win since 1992. This is a 4-year-old filly by Honor Grades out of Sewing Lady by Key to the Mint, bred in Kentucky by Lucy Bassett, Mrs. Ted Bassett, the former chairman of Keeneland and of the Breeders' Cup. Let's go down to Trevor Denman now to analyze the race. And Trevor, at the start, things got a little tough for the favorite Sightseek.
They sure did, Tom, and that's one of the problems with being a hot favorite. Every jockey in the race is looking for you, and if this horse at 3-5, you know that Corey Nakatani in the blue cap, look at that, breaks a little inward. They don't give Jerry Bailey not half an inch. They all keep him tight in there. They know if we can beat the 3-5 front, we enhance our chances of winning. So it wasn't a bad bump, and then right here, Jerry Bailey, you can see him on the pink cap on the outside. You see the whip starting to go out. He's only tapping her on the neck. There it's twice, and there's just nothing from Sightseek. Look at those ears. They pin back. She's struggling. You can see she's grounding into the ground. They're trying to grab at the sand to pick herself up, but she just does not have it this afternoon. And right here, she just throws in the towel and says, sorry, guys, not today. Here's Adoration on the lead. Aloe Love, a game run on the outside. These two California fillies, normally Aloe Love would have got to Adoration, but today was Adoration's day. Look at that, just sheer determination. Pat Valenzuela yelling at her, just keeping her mind on the business and coming home a very, very good winner at odds of 40-1. What an upset. Kenny?
Thanks, Trevor. I'm with Jerry Bailey, the man aboard Sightseek today. We saw the start of the race where it looked like, did you get pinned back? Did you not get the kind of start you were looking for? Jerry, tell me about it.
Start was fine, but, you know, 50 yards out there, everybody's getting in position. Kind of got squeezed behind the other horse, which was fine. That's about where I wanted to be going in the first turn anyway. But, you know, turning up the backside, I got in the clear and just really had nothing today.
Went out fairly crisp, and then you get a 47 flat at the half mile. You realize then, I'm sure, you're the master of having that clock in your head that Valenzuela was out there trying to steal this thing.
Well, that's why I moved out in the clear down the backside, you know, as we turned up, so I could have a clear run, but I didn't have any horse to creep up there with.
Just didn't like it today.
Well, she hadn't won on Santa Anita yet. I guess streak continued.
All right, thanks for your time. Good luck the rest of the way. Jerry Bailey, the man who was aboard Sightseek, as he said, she just didn't have it today, stopping her winning streak here. Tom?
All right, Kenny, here are the official prices. Look at the price on Adoration, and notice that show price. We told you about all the bridge jumpers, they call them. Well, there might be some of them jumping. They all bet to show on Sightseek, which sort of skews the show prices here in the race for the others that got there. And for David Hoffman's his second Breeders' Cup victory, he won with Alphabet Soup in Toronto, beating Cigar, the 3-5 favorite in the 96 Classic. Let's go down to Mike Battaglia for the official presentation.
Well, the day starts with just a huge upset in the distaff. Adoration under a great ride by Pat Valenzuela. In front all the way, John Ammerman, the trainer, or the owner, David Hoffman's the trainer, to make the presentation. Mark Schweitzer, he's from Nextel, and Mark, you do the honors.
What a great win. At Nextel, we pride ourselves on helping customers get things done, and it is our great pleasure to present you with the trophy for the 2003 Distaff Championship. Congratulations.
Thank you so very much, but really thanks go to David Hoffman, the trainer, and Pat Valenzuela for figuring out a great game plan and executing it terrifically well. Thank you.
That's very well spoken. And David, this filly has been doing great all week. You were schooling her in the paddock yesterday, talked about how great she looked, and she ran to it today. She was beaten by a couple of these same ones last time out. Turned the tables this afternoon.
Yeah, you know, it was her third race off of a layoff, and she was coming up to this just right. She needed her last race, had a little trouble in the stretch, and Pat and I figured with a little more fitness and a better trip, we could have been right there.
Yeah.
So we were happy, and our game plan was to go to the front and let them catch us, and they couldn't.
Worked out perfect, and what a huge win. Comeback win in the Breeders' Cup for Pat Valenzuela. Just absolutely great. And what a ride. Did you think you'd get the lead that easy?
Well, there was no doubt about it. David had told me to put her on the lead to take advantage of the race, that everybody would foresee us being on the lead, and we took advantage of it. She rated very kindly, and when I asked her at the quarter pole, she accelerated very, very strongly. David did a terrific job in getting this mare ready today, and I just got to give him the credit and thank the Lord that I'm able to be on the horse.
But what's it feel like to be back in the winner's circle here for the Breeders' Cup?
Oh, it's just awesome. It's awesome, and to have my family here, my wife Valerie, and my daughter Callie, my mom, my sister, my brother-in-law. It's just an awesome feeling to be here and be part of this great game. Great game. We're very blessed.
Well, congratulations, David. Congratulations. What an upset to start the day, Tom. Adoration in front all the way.
And Patrick Valenzuela, how about that smile in the winner's circle? How about that celebration as he crossed the finish line in front? He nursed her home with no problem. Here's the official order of finish. And remember, P-Val in the very first Breeders' Cup, Hollywood Park 1984, disqualified in the juvenile fillies on Franz Valentine at 74-1. No problem today. He gets Adoration home at 40-1. The official order of finish. Sightseek, a disappointment today. And as you always say here at the Breeders' Cup, just as you digest one great race, another one is about to unfold. And the horse is already coming to the paddock for the next race, which is the juvenile fillies. So the first race of the day in the books, as Bobby Frankel fails to record that 24th Grade 1 stakes win. He figures prominently the rest of the day, too. Next up, the juvenile fillies. Julie Crone, in the midst of an amazing comeback, rides unbeaten, half bridle. But the outside post position may be too much to overcome. Then to the grass course for the first time in the mile. Special Ring carries the hopes of popular trainer Julio Canani. Next, the sprint, all out, 3/4 of a mile. Frankel has two of the favorites, Aldebaran and Midas Eyes. In the filly and mare turf, Frankel mounts a major challenge with three highly regarded entries, Tate's Creek, Heat Haze, and Megahertz. The best 2-year-old colt in the land, Cuvée makes his case in the juvenile. As usual, the turf is the U.S. versus Europe, with Gary Stevens getting back up on Storming Home, the horse that unseated him in the Arlington Million, causing serious injury. And finally, $4 million up for grabs in the Classic. Funny Side tackles older horses for the first time, but ridden by Julie Crone. Regular jockey Jose Santos will be aboard last year's upset winner, Vol Pony.
And it's going to be a huge upset. 40-1 on the wire. Vol Pony scores in the Classic.
So a wonderful afternoon of racing underway with a big upset in the first race and some familiar faces in the juvenile fillies coming up. That, of course, is Bob Baffert. He has two fillies in the next race, Victory USA and Class Above, highly regarded. And we'll also get our first look this afternoon at Julie Crone loosening up in the jockey's room. She'll be riding the favorite Half Bridled in the juvenile fillies. And let's check the odds as they're going right now for the Breeders' Cup juvenile fillies. Dixie High at 40, Shadow of Mine a big long shot, Hollywood Story Force Music at 4-1, a Shadow 13-1, Society Selection at 3-1 play, Class Above is at 4-1, Victory USA 8, Renaissance Lady 35-1, Vino Tinto 70, Zosima 22, Tarlo is 40, Be Gentle 25, and Half Bridled currently at 9-2. Maybe the fans don't like that outside post. We'll be right back. A look at Julie Crone inside the jocks room at Santa Anita, and it's certainly been an interesting past 4 years for her. After a Hall of Fame riding career that included a win in the '93 Belmont Stakes, she retired from racing, losing her focus and passion for the sport in April 1999. She soon got married, moved to California. She tried her hand working on TV, even took up surfing, but none of it could fill the void she had discovered. And just about a year ago, her bug for riding returned. She has since written one of racing's most compelling comeback stories, highlighted by a rise to the top of the jockey standings here in Southern California. Throughout the afternoon, we'll chronicle a day in the life of Julie Crone, beginning here with a trip to her home.
Okay, let's try. Oh, sit down beside me. Okay, ready, Kiko? Being an athlete, your head gets so full sometimes. So when you get to relax and have things that you don't think about anything. I like to do my puzzle, and I like to, as bad as it is, I'm learning how to play the harmonica, so. I'm just blessed and to have a lot of energy and be healthy. I think about that sometimes, like, oh yeah, I better slow down a little. Like those smiley teeth, in case I win, I'll look good in the winner's circle. Let's go. Keeps you on the highway to go. Let's go. This year's been very, very exciting. My summer was just spectacular. I didn't really set any goals for myself when I came back. I really stayed in the moment and said, you know, I'm going to go see this trainer and learn about this person and meet this person. There she is. It's like selling used cars, kind of, you know. You have to go out there and really sell yourself and say, ride me on this horse. Come on, let me get on this horse. And that's what I did a lot of. Everything's been going very well. I just enjoy it. Like every day when I wake up, I know, and I'm thinking, you know, I get to go out and ride thoroughbred racehorses again. They're just so incredible, and it's such a great job. Back in Pomona, at the county fair. Back in Pomona, at the county fair. I think everyone has something that they have to overcome. Anybody could feel sorry for themselves or focus on whatever it is that sets them aside. But I never felt like that because I love the horses so much.
And there is Julie, who will be riding Half Bridled. We'll be following Julie throughout the day. A day at the races with Julie will be coming up a little later on. She's riding Half Bridled in the outside post position 14 for the unbeaten filly. And a look at Bob Baffert, who has two fillies in the race, and Mike Battaglia is down there.
All right, thanks, Tom. And with Bob Baffert, who's saddling 2 horses for the race for the juvenile fillies. And it really wouldn't be a Triple Crown or a Breeders' Cup without having Bob Baffert here, Bob. I know you always gear up toward these big days. What's a day like this mean to you?
Well, it's huge. I mean, the Kentucky Derby is a big day, but Breeders' Cup, that's what we're all here for, and we buy all these young horses, and it's Day of Champions. Everybody's here, the top trainers, top jockeys, and just to make it this far and have a contender is a thrill. So I'm just glad we're here.
And you're saddling two-year-old fillies in this one, Victory USA and Class Above. You told me you like them equally.
I think these fillies in here can beat the boys coming up later on.
Really?
But I think Class Above, Victory USA, we don't know how good Class Above is, but we still have to deal with Half Bridle and some other fillies in there. So you know, that long shot won right now, so I think these jockeys are going to be thinking maybe they need to place their horses a little bit closer, so we'll see what happens.
Well, when the favorite Half Bridle drew the outside, you know more about this track than a lot of people. How tough is it to win from post 14 here?
Well, nobody ever draws 14 here, only during the Breeders' Cup.
How tough
I know,
is it?
It can be tough, but a good horse can overcome it, so we'll just see what happens.
And you can consecrate in the 2-year-old, the juvenile later on, and then Congaree, your big horse in the Classic.
We'll get a full day, and I just hope we hit the target there a couple times. We need a couple of bullseyes.
A couple of bullseyes, like I said. Wouldn't be a big day without Bob Baffert. Thanks, Bob.
All right, thank you.
You're right, Mike, and Julie Crone will have to start from that post 14. Yeah, normally they don't have this many horses in a race at Santa Anita. Charles, see how difficult is it to break from the outside on a speed favoring track like Santa Anita? We saw the first winner go wire to wire.
Well, it's not going to help a lot. She can overcome it, but it'll take some doing. And Half Bridle is a very large filly, but she's very quick. She's decimated all these fillies in her 3 starts out here. It has been done from post 14. Pleasant Stage did it back in '91, but you saw what happened to Sightseek. They're not going to give her any breaks trying to get position going into that first turn, but this is a filly for all her size. She's very agile, and she's got a lot of gears. Julie can kind of step on and off the gas at will, so if she has to do this from post 14, she's on the right filly to do it.
Another interesting filly in here, Charles C. Society Selection, who won the Frisette at Belmont Park and ships to Santa Anita with her Hall of Fame trainer, Alan Jerkins, 74 years old, having his first horse in the Breeders' Cup in quite a while. In fact, his first here since 1994.
Well, she won the Frisette in only her 2nd lifetime start, so that was quite a step up from just a maiden race sprinting. She's by Coronado's Quest, who certainly indicates she wants to go around 2 turns. And the feeling has been all along that the West Coast fillies are better than the East Coast fillies, but she was able to beat one of the best West Coast fillies in Bob Baffert's filly Victory USA, so you've got to put her in the middle of this.
And now it's time for our next tale call to the post. And Julie Crone with a leg up. Actually, that is Vino Tinto with Ryan Fogelsonger. And there's Julie coming up in a moment. And just interesting, Charles, I was just looking at the tote board in the infield here. Half Bridle was 7-5 on the morning line, but currently an overlay at 7-2. That has to be that outside post that's bothering the bettors.
Well, maybe they got stung a little bit losing their money on Sightseek at the first race, so they're going to be a little more cautious with the heavy chalk here. But as I said, I think if any filly can do this from the outside, Half Bridle can. But there are several long shots in here, very interesting and need to be looked at, and we'll do that in a minute. But she certainly knows cinch. But a lovely filly she is, and has won all her races with her ears pricked with absolutely utmost ease. And Julie has a real rapport with her, so they'll be tough even from that disadvantageous post.
And her trainer Dick Mandela has been high in his praise of everything this unbeaten filly has accomplished thus far. What we saw in the first race, the Santa Anita track that favors speed, especially in hot weather. True to form, as Adoration went wire to wire. And for these 2-year-old fillies, a lot of this is a new experience. Certainly the size of the crowd, all the hoopla. For some of them, going around 2 turns is a new experience too. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle it. Some of them can really become unsettled as they come out onto the track and see all that's going on.
I have to agree, though, with what Bob Baffert said. I think these fillies could probably beat the colts who'll be running later. Fillies are generally more precocious than the boys, but this is a very, very talented group of fillies, and you can go down to the 8 and 10 and 12 to 1 shots here and have a filly who's going to make quite a name for herself. This is a good group.
Unbridled down to 3 to 1 now, but not the odds-on favorite that many thought. In fact, before the post position draw, many were saying she would be the heaviest favorite of the day, but not so. After drawing that outside post position, as it stands now, she would be the longest price favorite in juvenile filly history at 3 to 1. Juvenile fillies, it's for 2-year-old fillies. Grade 1 race at 1 mile and a 16th, carries a purse of $1 million. Number 1, Dixie High, Australian-born former steeplechase jockey Adam Kitchingman trains the long shot, who has won 2 of 3 against lesser competition. Number 2, Shadow of Mine, another long shot, bred and owned by Omaha resident Thomas Nichols, only has a maiden win. Number 3, Hollywood Story, has never won in 3 starts, but she has stakes place with potential, ridden by Patrick Valenzuela, who won the first race on Adoration. Number 4 is Forced Music. Trainer Mark Schumann broke the Gulfstream Victories mark last winter. This filly won her only start in Maryland. No horse has ever won a Breeders' Cup race after only 1 prior start. Number 5, Ashado. Todd Pletcher also broke records this year, in his case at Saratoga, where Ashado won the Schuylerville and Spinaway, but then faltered in the 1 mile and a 16th Frisette. Number 6, the aforementioned Society selection, the 74-year-old Hall of Fame trainer Alan Jerkins, the Giant Killer, making his first Breeders' Cup appearance since '94. He is 0 for 5 at the Cup, but this unbeaten filly, winner of the Frisette, could change all that. 7, as you see, class above, saddled by Bob Baffert. 2 for 2 with a dominant 16-length victory in the Kentucky Cup juvenile fillies. 8, Victory USA, also a Baffert horse, owned by Kentucky Bloodstock and sales agent Tom Van Meter. Only 1 win, but in the money in 2 Grade 1 stakes races. Number 9, Renaissance Lady, gives young Tyler Bays his first Breeders' Cup mount. Bob and Beverly Lewis have owned a couple of Breeders' Cup winners, and Wayne Lucas, the all-time leading Cup trainer. But this lady has only 1 win in 7 starts, the most experienced filly in the race. Number 10, Vino Tinto, purchased last week by Triple B Farms. She's won a pair of 6-furlong races at Louisiana Downs. Number 11 is Zosima, has the saddle services of Pat Day, who has won this race twice. Owned by the Darley stable of Sheikh Mohammed, the Crown Prince of Dubai. She's won 3 of 4. And number 12 is Tarlo. This filly ran off with jockey Mike Smith before the Oakleaf Stakes. She still finished second to Half Bridled. She does have a race over this Santa Anita track. That's the field for the Breeders' Cup juvenile fillies. As we look at Be Gentle. Be Gentle, we don't want to forget her. That's another Lucas trainee, owned by Tom Van Meter, who has Victory USA with Baffert. Winner of Keeneland's Darley Alcibiades by 5.5. And of course, number 14 is Half Bridled. Won all 3 of her starts by a combined 19 lengths. That's how brilliant she has been. But the fans not convinced today with that outside post position post 14. We'll see how the handicappers assess that post 14. Bob and Mike.
Thanks, Tom. And, you know, the Madman tried to pick against the favorite in the distaff. You just didn't get mad enough. You should have really gone for the bullet.
Well, second place wasn't bad for an 8 to 1
wasn't
shot.
bad for an 8 to 1. You know what, though? The juvenile fillies is usually a pretty formful race. 9 out of the 19 runnings have gone to the favorite. Half Bridled is the favorite right now at 5 to 2, but the 14 post is going to be tough.
Yeah, that'll be very difficult to win from there. My choice here is Society's selection for a couple of reasons. Number 1, her trainer, Alan Jerkins, is the best trainer in the world never to have won a Breeders' Cup race. He's been in the Hall of Fame for some 40 years, can come off the pace, and with Half Bridled saddled with that outside post, I like the way she can rate and come off the pace, as she did in the Frisette Stakes at Belmont Park, Mike, with Ray Ganpath. So I like that closing style that she showed here in winning the Frisette, which has been a very popular race for graduates to win this juvenile fillies.
And you know what? I agree with you. I thought that was a very, very powerful race. And I think something will win from off the pace, too. You heard Baffert mention that after that first race, when Patrick Valenzuela stole the race on the front end with the slow fractions, he thinks thinks they'll be gunning to the lead this race. So I think Class Above can lay right back off of the early leaders. There's a shot of Class Above, David Flores. Baffert did the same thing with Vindication as he's doing with this horse. He ran Vindication at Turfway Park in the Kentucky Cup around 2 turns. He came to Arlington and won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He's doing it with Class Above today. She came to Turfway, she won the Fillies race, and she's here in the Juvenile Fillies. I think she'll be coming from off the pace. I think that she's going to be very tough. There's a shot of Half Bridle under Julie Crone. Charles, he mentioned she's a big filly. That outside post, I definitely think she's the best horse in here, but I think she's going to have to be much the best, Bob, to win from post 14.
And we said it was nice and cool here when it started, but we're getting a little heated up here. This is getting to be about 95 degrees down here in the winner's circle. Tom, back to you. Wow.
All right, guys. Well, if you want to, again, match your selections against Bob and Mike, log on to NBCSports.com. The outside post not bothering the cyber cappers too much. 30% of them say she will win despite post 14. Her odds keep going down slowly but surely. She's at 5-2 for the Juvenile Fillies.
First win the Kentucky Derby was a special moment for me. As a supporter of Ronald McDonald House Charities.
At 5, Class Above second choice, 7-2. We told you that Half Bridle's odds had been slowly going down. They're down to 2-1 now. Half Bridle 2-1 favorite in the outside post position. And Society's selection, trained by Alan Jerkins, will be ridden by Ray Ganpath, a 30-year-old native of Trinidad. Rarely rides. He's 5'9". He towers over the other jockeys. There he is with Julie Crone in the jocks room. 5'9", but he does 111 pounds. 30-year-old native of Trinidad who works full-time for the trainer Alan Jerkins. 15 wins and 82 rides this year for Ray Ganpath, who is aboard Society selection. Bob, will that lack of experience in big races be a problem?
Well, what's interesting about Alan Jerkins is he often uses rather obscure riders. He doesn't care. I mean, he likes Ray Ganpath. You mentioned he's from Trinidad. His father owned a couple of apartment buildings. One was rented to a jockey. That's actually how Ray got into the sport. He's only 7 wins in his life. He's never, believe it or not, of Stanton, Delaware. And here he is in Arcadia, California, riding for the big money. Jerkins could have had Gary Stevens, other big-name riders that were available, had open mounts for this juvenile filly. No, he's loyal. He likes to go with these little-known riders, and Ray Ganpath gets the assignment on a filly that I think has a big shot in this juvenile filly race.
All right, Bob, and earlier in our Julie Crone feature, we saw her pal, Donna Brothers. She's reunited with her pal Cisco, the horse. Everybody behaving in this parade to the post?
Tom, absolutely. What a good-looking bunch of horses in this race. I'll tell you what, you mentioned earlier about the riders getting a little nervous. As soon as they get in that starting gate and sit there and look down the track, all those nerves go out the window, and they're all here to play, Tom. All
right, Donna. And the horses do begin to load into the starting gate, and the 2-1 favorite continues to be Half Bridle in post 14. Here's Zosima.
She's a little bit overlooked in the windows there. She won the Arlington Lassie, and her trainer Owen Hardy upset this race with another overlooked filly in Tempera a few years ago.
A mile and a 16th, and you see some of the fillies a little hot already as they load into the starting gate. Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, $1 million. The purse is the purse. A mile and a 16th is the distance. And as they load in, let's send it back upstairs to Tom Durkin for the call of the race.
Waiting for Class Above, Be Gentle, and Half Bridle. There is the prodigious Half Bridle and her pixie of a partner, Julie Crone, taking post position number 14. 1 furlong run to the first turn here at Santa Anita. They are in the gate.
Wait a minute.
And they're off. Dixie High hustles out of there, and there goes Forest Music, seizing the initiative early as Shadow comes away running in second. Half Bridle stuck out there 4 wide, and Victory USA comes on through between horses as they race into the clubhouse turn, chasing Forest Music. Forest Music out there by a length and a half. Victory USA now second on the outside as Shadow down toward the inside running in third. Vino Tinto 3 wide fourth. Hollywood Story is now fifth, and Julie Crone has Half Bridle right there in the middle of the pack. She's sixth and in the clear on the outside. Tarlo is 4 wide and running along in seventh. Then it's Dixie High, who's eighth toward the inside, followed by Class Above. Running in ninth, Renaissance Lady. Be Gentle on the outside. She's running in 11th position, only about 6 or 7 lengths from the lead. And then Long Shot Shadow of Mine, followed by Zozima, who has only one horse beaten, and that is Easterner Society Selection, the last of 14. The quarter 22-4, the half in 46-4, and the field moving into the far turn now. On the inside, Forest Music and Victory USA pressing harder. Half Bridled looms a threatening third on the outside right there, and Julie Crone's got a handful. And then it's Tala running along in fourth. A Shadow is now fifth, and Class Above is coming with her move now on the outside. Hollywood Story's only about 4 or 5 lengths from the lead. Then Vino Tinto as the field turns for home, and Half Bridle comes off the turn in front. Victory USA, Jerry Bailey working on her. Half Bridle in front by neck. Victory USA fights on. A Shadow right there, a threat on the outside third. Down to the final 100 yards. Half Bridle in front, and Half Bridle is pulling away. Victory USA, a Shadow giving futile chase under the line. It's Half Bridle, a filly champion, winning by 3 lengths. A Shadow finished second, and Victory USA was third. There is the happy trainer, and there, 42 years of talent between them. The oversized Half Bridle, the undersized Julie Crone, both of them remarkable.
And right on cue, Tom, Julie Crone guiding Half Bridled from that outside post position. In fact, the filly held wide almost the entire race. And yet, despite that handicap, she wins impressively, now 4 for 4. And Julie Crone, the first female jockey to win a Breeders' Cup race, just as she was the first to win a Triple Crown race. And her buddy Donna Brothers is alongside. Donna?
Julie, I think I'm going to cry, so I'm just going to say congratulations.
Thank you, Donna. I'm really grateful to Richard and his crew. And what an opportunity this is to ride a mare like this. I think Galloping Out, she's one of the most fabulous 2-year-olds I've ever sat on in my life. Turning for home, she literally put her ears up and said, "When are we going to start running, Julie?" And I got a little nervous, and I said, "Right about now."
Did you ever think you'd be in a position like this?
Earlier this summer when she ran and was training, she's just so incredible and so tactical. You can do anything with her. And coming up to the Breeders' Cup, Richard did such a great job. And actually, by the half-mile pole, she grabbed the bridle again, and I'm sitting here going, "Oh my gosh, how much more can she drag me?" And she just kept dragging me around there.
Now, I know you've been worried about the 14 pole ever since or post position ever since it came up. At what point in the race did you quit worrying about it?
When she broke about 1.5 lengths in front of everybody, and she has so much length to her that her first leap out of the gate, I was literally like 1 length ahead of everyone, and I got over about 7 pats and 2 jumps, and once again, it's the horse that does it, and she was right there, and she helped us out.
Julie, is this the best horse you've ever ridden now?
I think this is going to be one of the champions I've ever sat on, that's for sure.
All right, you better get back and go get ready to win some more races. Congratulations, Ian.
I think Julie will still be talking about this race for another hour. She is just bubbling after winning her first Breeders' Cup race on the filly Half Bridle. Did you see how Half Bridle towered over Cisco, the pony that Donna was on? This is a big, strong filly, and despite the outside post position, she kept her record unblemished, giving Dick Mandela, the trainer, his third Breeders' Cup champion. He also won this race in 1993 with Phone Chatter, and celebrates again here with Half Bridled. And the crowd loves Julie Crone, and as she comes back in front of the stands, listen, the fans acknowledge her victory as we have crowned our first champion of 2003. Julie says no applaud for the filly.
Julie's playing the crowd. They love this filly, but Julie's got to take a lot of credit. She gave her a very, very clever ride leading the gate, but she had lots of filly under her. That was a dominating, overwhelming performance. Star is confirmed. She wasn't born, but she is a star. Now she's here.
Julie Crone, the first female jockey to ride a Breeders' Cup winner, and her partner, Half Bridle. This is for Julie Crone, who rides Half Bridle to victory in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. The most formful of all the Breeders' Cup races. She's the 10th favorite to win the Juvenile Fillies. But the bettors got a bonus because of that outside post. She went off at 2-1 when you would expect she would have been lower than that. A Shadow second, Victory USA third. Half Bridle, a 2-year-old filly by Unbridled out of Half Queen by Deputy Minister. bred in Kentucky by Wertheimer and Frere and owned by the Wertheimer farm. Let's go to Trevor for analysis of the race. And going to that first turn, Half Bridled was parked about 4 wide, but didn't seem to bother her at all, Trevor.
Just breathtaking, Tom. Right here she is in the very outside gate, and as Julie was saying earlier, just watch how fast she brakes. She brakes a length in front of the 2 horses on her inside, and then she can get in fairly good position. But unfortunately for Julie, well, unfortunately had she lost, the inside horses begin to float out, and you'll see that she's actually, although only 4 horses wide, she's about 7, 8 horses wide into that turn. Now watch her take a look back. Not often American jockeys look behind their shoulder, but right there, you see that? Now when jockeys do that, they are telling you, I have a ton of horse under me. I think if this had been a Thursday afternoon, Julie Crone would have just sat still and cruised to the wire, but she says, hey, this is a $1 million Breeders' Cup race. Let's go for it, girl. And as she was saying earlier, Unbridled was almost asking her, when are we going to get down to work? Well, here they get down to work, and just look at that fluent stride on Half Bridled. Undoubtedly the best 2-year-old filly in the world right now, and it's going to be very interesting to see who can beat her. She's such a magnificent animal. She's still maturing. I hate to see her as a 3-year-old. She's going to be dynamic. Mike?
And a very happy winner's circle here. Half Bridled, the 14 post, no problem at all. Owner Alan Wertheimer, Dick Mandela, the trainer. Great ride by Julie Crone to make the presentation. Michael Imperioli, he's from the hit series Sopranos, and Allison Janney from the West Wing. And Allison knows a little bit about a good filly because her grandfather, Stuart Janney, owned Ruffian.
Yes, he did. It was one of the most amazing races I've ever seen in my life. Tragic, but I had a great introduction into horse racing, and that was a beautiful race today. Congratulations.
And to make the presentation, Michael?
Congratulations. That was incredible. You got a great horse on your hands. Nice work.
And you guys really do have a great horse on your hand. The 14 post, Dick, you know, a lot of people, including myself, thought that's going to be awfully tough. She's not going to be able to overcome that.
Well, I'll stick with the word I chose from the start. She's pretty special, and it took a special horse to do that.
She really is. And Alan, how were you feeling when they hit the top of the stretch? You said when you saw Julie move outside the top of the stretch, you thought you were home.
I thought when I saw her off the first 150 meters, yards, back in position, I thought we had a good chance.
Julie, what a job. What a job. I mean, she was out there in the 14 post. It just didn't seem to bother you at all. You told Donna that she broke like a bullet.
Yeah, I'd actually told Chris earlier that she has such length to her and so much. She's so strong and so quick and agile that I didn't think it was going to bother her. And when her first leap out of the gate was so powerful, she put like 2 lengths on about 6 of the horses, and I got to drop over. And great horses make jockeys look good, and this is one of the most incredible young horses I've ever sat on my life. She turned for home and put her ears up, and you know, it was like quizzical and kind of playful, and like, when are we going to start running? And I was like, now would be nice.
And you know, a lot of 2-year-olds, they don't translate that form into 3- and 4-year-olds, but this one is bred to be a good one. She looked like she could only go get better.
We hope so, but God, she's been good to us so far. But I've got to correct Julie there a little bit. Not just any jockey could have been as cool as she was going around that first turn. Anybody could have had the anxious moment to just push the button too early and blow it, and she finessed herself like an ice skater around that first turn, and I was very happy with it.
Well, great job all around. Half Bridled, the 2-year-old filly champion. Congratulations, guys.
Mike, I couldn't help but contrast the voice of Julie listening to her talk with that picture that we saw when she and Jerry Bailey were going at each other, riding as hard as they could at the top of the stretch there. Contrast the pixie voice with the way she was muscling Half Bridled to the lead and on to victory. Here's the official order finish in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Half Bridled, Ashado, and Victory USA in the money. Class above, bit of a disappointment, finishing 7th for Bob Baffert. Society Selection really never got into the game. And Forest Music, the early pace setter, fading to last. And coming up next will be the NetJets Breeders' Cup Mile. We'll go to the turf course for the first time. Piece Rules at 6-1. Designed for Luck also at 6. Soaring Free 20. Refused to Bend 15-1. Special Ring getting play at 4-1. Free for Internet a 30-1 shot. Century City 20, so's Touch of the Blues. Oasis Dream from Europe 5-1. Irish Warrior and DeCarchi at 20 each. 6 Perfections 6-1. And Perfect Soul is 15-1 in the 14th pole position. So post position 14 didn't hurt Half Bridled. She wins the Juvenile Fillies with Julie Crone. Now let's go to the Allstate Sports Desk and join Dan Hicks.
This is the Allstate NBC Sports Update.
Welcome to our New York studio and
to the World Thoroughbred Championships, and something new this year for Breeders' Cup 20. The Bill Shoemaker Award will be presented to the outstanding jockey on Championship Day. It's a fitting tribute to a man who, despite his diminutive size, was a giant among athletes. To the general public, he was racing. Shoe died in his sleep last week at age 72. The last 12 years confined to a wheelchair. A quadriplegic after an automobile accident. Born in a house in rural Texas, he weighed but 2 pounds. The story goes that he would fit in a shoebox, and his grandmother placed him on the open door of the oven as a makeshift incubator. As a youth, he discovered he had a special rapport with horses, a light touch, no flailing about, and a special ability to get horses to relax. After 41 years in the saddle, he ended his Hall of Fame career to become a trainer. At the time, the winningest jockey in history. He won the Kentucky Derby 4 times. The last aboard Ferdinand in 1986 made him the oldest at 54 to win the Roses. But it was in the 57 Derby that he made the biggest gaffe in the race's history, misjudging the finish line and costing Gallant Man the victory. In typical fashion, he stood up to the mistake, went on to win the Belmont Stakes on Gallant Man. Shoe was known for his understated humor and practical jokes, but I found him to be a man of immense dignity who handled the highs and lows of his life with the same placid demeanor and easy laugh. No doubt now he would wonder what all the fuss was about. And up next, the NetJets Breeders' Cup Mile. And as we see, Peace Rules has been bet down now to 2-1. Seraphan scratched. Designed for Luck at 5-1. Soaring Free 25. Refused to Bend and Special Ring 7-1 each. Free for Internet, a big long shot at 60-1. Free for Internet. Century City 35. Touch the Blues at 13-1. Oasis Dream at 10. Irish Warrior 25 to Karchi 60. 6 Perfections at 5-1, getting some mutual window play, and Perfect Soul an 18-1 shot. And Chelsea, here is Free for Internet, the 7-year-old or 5-year-old horse by Tabasco Cat, who has some special rooting interest in the race today.
Indeed, Tom. He's a long shot, but a deserving story. He's owned by Equirace.com, who pledged 10% of all of his earnings to breast cancer research. And Equirace President Amy Bonden-Peltz actually had to take out a banknote to purchase this horse. And when he won the Kelso Handicap at Belmont, he paid off the note and gave his trainer Joan Scott her first stakes victory. She has worked all her life in every aspect of racing, both here and abroad, and makes her first Breeders' Cup appearance today, and I think we'll all be rooting for Free for Internet today. Great cubs.
And the horse will be auctioned in Kentucky, facing Tipton next month, and some of those proceeds to go to breast cancer charities as well. There's a good story for Designed for Luck as well, and Kenny Rice has that.
Thanks, Tom. He might be the most appropriately named horse in any of our races today. It was a year and a half ago that it was discovered on a van ride from Santa Anita down to Hollywood Park for a race that during that ride somehow he had broken a bone in his left hind leg. The break was so severe that doctors said a surgery would do no good. He had a threat on his life as well as whether he would ever be a riding horse even again. But Vladimir Surin, his trainer, decided that maybe nature would take his course and somehow miraculously the bone would heal. Well, it has. Not only has he come back to the track, but he is 3 for 3 this year, coming off a graded stakes win. And he has been comfortable standing in his stall throughout the week, comfortable training as he has been since he came back to racing this year. One of the things that Vladimir Surin did, though, to help the process of healing was use an electromagnetic machine that sent out waves throughout the horse's body to help rejuvenate and help the cells rebuild. Now, he's not saying that's the only reason that things got better for him, but he does call it a miracle, and he has his lucky goat Tomas standing in the stall there waiting to see if his roommate will be returning with the victory here in this Breeders' Cup Mile. It's interesting also, Tom, that 3 of the last 4 winners of the Breeders' Cup Mile tuned up in their last race in the Oak Tree Mile here at Santa Anita. That race was won 3 weeks ago by Designed for Luck. If he pulls it off today, they may change his name to Designed for Fate. Back to you, Tom.
All right, and Vladimir Surin, Kenny, born in Yugoslavia, has done a great job nursing Designed for Luck back to health. In fact, he was sort of in his backyard here in Southern California. Let's go to Mike.
Thanks, Tom. And Julio Canani has won the mile twice with Sea Lake and Val Royale. And this is a 6-year-old Julio that just seems to be getting better with age. Finally won his first graded stakes race, as a matter of fact, 2 starts back.
It's like me.
Just like you, better like fine wine.
Yes.
But what's the key to this horse?
I don't know. He's sharp today. He's looking good. He's been training very good after his last race. He broke a little slow the other day, you know. And a lot of people, they are down on him, but he should rebound today.
Well, you were a little upset after his last race, thinking that...
upset. I made some mistakes, and he broke a little slow, and things that they happened, though.
So with that happening, would you plan on sending him to the front? Is that his best style?
Listen, once after he leaves the gate, he is a pilot.
It's up to date.
You never know, I mean, what, you know. But we're planning and be on the pace, so.
All right, Julio, good luck.
Thank
this horse, as I said, 2 starts back, was a huge winner, comes back today off a bit of a disappointment, but if he runs his race, definitely the one to beat.
Life is not, I mean, everything is smiley, so it's disappointments in life too, so don't give up.
Tom?
Let's go to Bob.
Well, the leading trainer in California is not Bob Baffert or Bobby Frankel. It's this man, Doug O'Neill. DeCarchi was a Juddmonte Bobby Frankel horse. How did you get him?
Oh, Dennis Narlinger of JMJ and Rich and Gabby of McGalley Farms found out he's for sale and basically bought him as a stallion prospect, but we're hoping we can keep the Frankel form going.
I know you worked in the phone company and you had a lot of hard knocks, but you're the leading trainer in California. Best of luck with this long shot today.
Great. No more telephone poles.
Okay, Doug O'Neill, back to you, Tom.
All right, Bob, and we'll see some Europeans in this mile race and see how they handle the Southern California heat. They usually don't fare that well. The Breeders' Cup Mile is up next.
Sunday, fastest back at the Breeders' Cup. Back in 1937, the Marx brothers shot a film here at Santa Anita. It was called A Day at the Races, and that's what the Breeders' Cup is, America's Day at the Races. And so far, it's been Ladies' Day here. First in the distaff, it was Adoration getting lots of love from the fans and pulling off the big upset. And then Half Bridled cementing the 2-year-old filly championship as much the best in the juvenile fillies. And Julie Crone got her first ever Breeders' Cup win. Next up, it's the mile, and for the post parade, we return it to Tom Hammond. Tom.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. We're ready for the NetJets Breeders' Cup Mile, Grade 1, $1.5 million in purse, a mile on the turf course. And just making the turn there is the #1 horse, which is Peace Rules, the Bobby Frankel trained 3-year-old that you may remember from the Triple Crown, 3rd in the Derby. He did win 3 of 4 races on the turf as a 2-year-old, and he can use his speed from the rail. 2 Seraphan was scratched. 3 Designed for Luck, ridden by the Oak Tree Meets leading rider P. Val, who won the first race today. Former claimer in the Breeders' Cup after missing nearly 17 months with that hock fracture. #4 is Soaring Free. Princeton man Mark Frostad trains this gelding in Canada. He's won 3 of 5 on grass, but not beyond 7 furlongs. The 5 horses Refused to Bend, a 3-year-old colt based in Ireland, who earlier this year won the classic English 2,000 guineas at a mile, which is his best distance. #6, Special Ring. Julio Canani, the native of Peru, whom we heard from a few moments ago, was furious with David Flores after this horse finished 4th as the favorite in the Oak Tree Breeders' Cup Mile. But Flores, as you see, back aboard today. And the 7 horse is Free for Internet. We talked about Free for Internet earlier. Ridden today by Jose Espinoza, with 10% of any earnings he might get today going to breast cancer charities. #8, Century City. This colt owned by a partnership managed by Kentucky breeder John Gridley IV and trained by his brother Bo, 3rd behind Designed for Luck in the Oak Tree Mile. #9 is Touch of the Blues, a troubled 10th in the mile last year. Bred and owned by the Gainsborough farm of Sheikh Maktoum, the ruler of Dubai. He won the Addo Mile at Woodbine. #10 is Oasis Dream, 3-year-old colt from England, trained by John Gosden, who was formerly based here in Southern California. Was very eloquent in the tribute to his friend Bill Shoemaker earlier this week. This horse had never raced beyond 7 furlongs. #11 is Irish Warrior, 5-year-old late closer, who's in the race because jockey Alex Solis lobbied hard to get him here, and finally trainer Wally DeLasse agreed. He's won 6 races, nearly $500,000. Number 12, DeCarchi, the first Breeders' Cup starter for trainer Doug O'Neill. We heard from him a little while ago. O'Neill on a record pace at this Oak Tree meeting. DeCarchi 0 for 6 this year. Retires to stud in California in 2004. 13 to 6 Perfections, a French-based 3-year-old filly who tackles the boys today, ridden by the all-time winningest Breeders' Cup jockey, Jerry Bailey. He's also the national leader this year. And number 14 is Perfect Soul, Canadian-trained horse who was 8th and last at 33 to 1 in the 2002 Breeders' Cup Mile. He looked good in his last race, the Shadwell Turf Mile at Keeneland. So that's the field for the Breeders' Cup Mile. Let's take a look now at an odds update. Peace Rules 5 to 2. Peace Rules is the 3-year-old, and 3-year-olds have been successful in the mile. They have won this race 6 different times. There's an update of the odds. 5 Perfections all the way down at 5 to 1. Second choice along with Design for Luck. Peace Rules the 5 to 2 favorite. And Bob and Mike still looking for a pretty good winner right now. Half Bridled really showed us her mettle, though, guys. You had to be impressed with Half Bridled's race in the juvenile fillies as we come up now to the mile.
No doubt about that, Tom. Definitely impressed with her race.
Astounding how she was able to deal with that first turn. Julie Crone deserves high marks. The filly just brilliant today. But now we transition to the mile. This has traditionally been a race. We speak of bad trips, traffic. We're in L.A., you know, and really that's the key to the race today.
I really think it is, too, and that's why I took, one of the reasons why, I took Peace Rules. There's a shot of him on the track. He's 3 for 4 on the turf. People forget that. He was a nice 2-year-old. He has nice 2-year-old turf form. He drew the rail. A lot of times people don't like to see a horse down on the rail. I kind of like it in this spot because just of what you said, I think there's going to be a lot of congestion. I don't think this horse really needs the lead. I think he can be rated from just off the pace, or if Prado wants him to go to the front, he can get there. Frankel, of course, he is the hot trainer. We saw Sightseek fail, but this is Peace Rules in the Hill Rise back in December over this turf course. Look at his action over the turf course. He really loved the going. He laid off the pace that day. He made the lead, held off the late runner, and I was impressed with the way he ran that day. If he runs that kind of race back today, I think he can spring the mild upset.
Well, for the same reason, Mike, I like Special Ring, because I think he has speed. He can establish a position and avoid the trouble. This is Special Ring. Me and Julio, well, Julio Canati, I've had good luck with him in the milers, with Silic and Val Royal. Again, the ideal post, and should get a good trip, a la the Eddie Reed at Del Mar when he just annihilated a field. This was earlier this year. This was a race, mind you, at 1 1/8. He showed tactical speed and blew this field to smithereens in his comeback race. He sat a little bit off the pace, may do that a little bit today, but I think that he deserves a big shot today with Kanani.
You know what? I just hope our two horses don't kill each other on the front end. And I said I was taking a little bit of a shot. I just looked up. Peace Rules is the 5 to 2 favorite in here right now, Bob.
Yeah, traffic will be the key in this one, Tom.
All right, Bob, and your horse Special Ring is at 5 to 1. And the Cyber Cappers at NBCSports.com overwhelmingly like Peace Rules, 41%. Special Ring second choice amongst the Cyber Cappers. Oasis Dream gets 9%. And here, Peace Rules is the 5 to 2 favorite. The Breeders' Cup World Thoroughbred Championships are brought to you by NetJets. Leave nothing to chance. By FedEx. You can always rely on the ultimate in reliable shipping. Relax, it's FedEx. By Long John Silver's, seafood the way it ought to be. And by John Deere. Nothing runs like a deer. NetJets Mile is next up on the Breeders' Cup World Thoroughbred Championships card. And here's an update on the odds. Peace Rules has gone up a little bit, 3 to 1 now. 5 to 1 Design for Luck, 5 to 1 also Special Ring. Oasis Dream at 9 to 1, and the Philly 6 Perfections at 5 to 1. And there's a look at the European invader Oasis Dream. His trainer John Gosden said he'll have to go to the front. A sprinter trying to stretch out today. He's expected to gun out of the gate. Now, coming out of the gate on the Santa Anita turf course, it's a 7/8 of a mile turf course for the mile race. And there's a 1.5 furlongs to the first turn, and that can lead to some traffic problems, as Mike and Bob were discussing earlier. There's a look at how far or how short the distance is. to get to that first turn. Look what happened the last 2 times the Breeders' Cup was at Santa Anita. In 1986, that's last Tycoon, who was in all sorts of trouble, being squeezed. You see his head being thrown up in the air. Had all sorts of problems there in that first turn. And the winner in 1993, Lure, in the Claiborne Farm Yellow Silks, way on the outside. Look how far wide he is carried. That was when Mike Battaglia had that classic line that said he could start from the parking lot and win, and indeed he did that day, the last time the race was here at Santa Anita. And Donna Brothers is out on her pony. Donna, from a jockey's perspective, what about that 3/16 of a mile run to the first turn?
Well, Tom, I'll tell you what, it's a mad rush to the first turn, and this turf course is an awfully fast turf course. They've set 3 world records here, so they can get going a little fast and not worry about it too much, but they've got 3/16 of a mile to run down to this first turn, and then they take a hard left when they get to it, and it can be pretty taxing and pretty trying on a jockey and on a horse, but hopefully they've all had enough experience to make it just fine.
And of course a full field of 14, which just adds to the potential traffic problems on that narrow turf course. For Europeans, much tighter course than they're used to. Narrow turf course and very tight turns. And Trousey, there's been a lot of well, whining from the Europeans.
Well, I must say they did complain a bit. They feel that this is like a hoop around a barrel. John Gosden, who won the first mile with Royal Heroine, he said that it's all about adapting to this American style. He's Oasis Dream, who's the best sprinter in Europe right now, very quick, but he says he's really got to break and get position and get into that first turn. And as we've talked about, it's always kind of a cattle jam when they come to that bend.
You know, I give them credit for taking all the worst of it, the long ship over, the change, dramatic change in climate and different style of racing here, and yet the Europeans keep coming back. It's a tribute to their sportsmanship that so many do show up.
Well, and I think they're going to have a very lot to say about this race and the 1.5 miles. And there is a look at Oasis Dream. He is, of course, a 3-year-old. He has been here since the 8th of October, and he had a very sharp work here day before yesterday, so Gosden has him quite on his toes. There is another European shipper that we're overlooking a little bit, 6 Perfections, a 3-year-old filly who's never been worse than second. She has to break from the extreme outside, but she gets Jerry Bailey today for the first time, and her last start, she defeated Dome Driver. Remember him from last year? He was a Breeders' Cup winner.
There's 6 Perfections. And
lovely big black filly. She's trained very nicely here and doesn't look like she's getting too warm here. So far, we haven't seen any of these horses be particularly overwrought by this warm weather.
Let's go to Bob.
Just examining the tote board to see any hot late action, and it's certainly in on number 9, Touch of the Blues. 20 to 1 morning line. He's been slashed almost in half onto 11 for Neil Drysdale and jockey Kent DeSomo. Tough trips in his last 2, but the inside guys at the windows like him a lot. From 20 to 1 in the morning line, bang down to 11 at post time here at Santa Anita. Tom.
And there's a look at Touch of the Blues going into the gate in the Sheikh Maktoum colors, trained by Neil Drysdale, as you said. And Peace Rule still the favorite. The 3-year-old now at 3 to 1. Let's go to Tom Durkin.
Moving into line for the 20th Breeders' Cup Mile, and there is the head of Irish Warrior. Will be a long price on the board this afternoon. DeCarchi winless this year. Nonetheless, in the gate, there goes the Irish entry, Refused to Bend. And 6 Perfections. The real question here for 6 Perfections is whether or not she'll relish this very hard going here. And there's one that we might expect to be on the leader, very close to it. Special Ring, the winner here, and there is 6 Perfections. And the French filly is restive behind the starting gate here. Completely new surroundings for her. The assistant starter's going to try to settle her down. Jerry Bailey, of course, veteran, and she has a mind of her own. And Bailey says, well, Bailey bails out, as is the right thing to do when they're acting so obstreperously like this in behind the starting gate. Trained by Pascal Berry, and with the rider off, she seems to be a little bit better mannered, but continues to balk. In the meantime, the other horses, as I view them through the binoculars, appear to be just fine and behind in their starting stalls, with 1 more to load after 6 Perfections. Now she's literally pushed into line, and with that encouragement of the assistant starters and the full cheers from the crowd here, 6 Perfections is in the gate. Jerry Bailey comes back aboard. Perfect Soul moves into line in the gate, ready for the start of the mile. And the Oasis Dream was asked for a run right from the beginning, but did not break particularly well. But Design for Luck did, and so too Peace Rules to his inside. Then on the outside, it's Soaring Free, and a very rank Oasis Dream on the outside, running along in fourth. Refused to Bend finds his way to the inside. Fifth in the early going. Perfect Soul, 3 wide, running in sixth. Perfect Soul was taken wide, but nonetheless a relatively clean trip into the first turn. Special Ring comes away in mid-pack. He's now sixth. And then it's Perfect Soul, seventh on the outside. And the French filly, Six Perfections, is running along in eighth. Century City, Takarchi, and Free for Internet all together, 8th, 9th, and 10th, about 10 lengths from front-running Peace Rules now. And then it's Touch of the Blues, and Irish Warrior trails the field. 22-1. A hot pace on a hot day here at Santa Anita, and Peace Rules is the leader. Peace Rules in front, Design for Luck right there, keeping that pressure on. And Soaring Free is in the clear and running along in third. Refuse to Bend is asked for run, fourth toward the inside. Oasis Dream has to pick it up, 45-2, half mile, and they're rounding the far turn. Design for Luck powers up to take a short lead. Soaring Free is right there. Edgar Prado wanting more from Peace Rules, but they're tailing off to third. Refuse to Bend, Oasis Dream right there in the thick of it. Perfect Soul on the outside. Special Ring in tight, buried to the rail. Special Ring had to stop completely. Here comes Touch of the Blues, and Six Perfections comes bursting out through. And from out of the clouds, Irish Warrior in Century City. Six Perfections takes the lead, coming down to the line. Touch of the Blues, Century City. Six Perfections has done it. She didn't want to get into the gate, but once they sprung the latch, she was ready to go today. Six Perfections comes from off the pace to win. It was very close there for second between Century City and Touch of the Blues. A classic European ride here given by Jerry Bailey to the French filly, Six Perfections, the winner here in the mile.
And for Jerry Bailey, it's number 14 as he picks up the mount on Six Perfections, his 14th winning Breeders' Cup ride. Six Perfections knew what she was doing all the time, didn't she? She knew exactly what she was doing. She waited and made the others stand in the gate. She got in. That was some encouragement. But when the time came to quicken, as they say in Europe, when the running really started in the final furlongs, Six Perfections, the filly, defeats the boys, and we have had Ladies' Day for sure so far here at the 20th Breeders' Cup. Pascal Berry, back-to-back winners in the Breeders' Cup Mile. He trained Dome Driver to win last year. Donna?
Jerry, God, you had a terrible time getting into the gate, but it all worked out well.
It did. I mean, she didn't really want to go in, but as soon as they opened it, she was all there, and I tell you, she had a tight trip, but as soon as she saw some daylight, she was exploding.
This is the first time you've ridden this filly. How do you get into their head and just get such a powerful race out of her with no introduction prior to today?
Well, Pasquale told me, he said she doesn't have to be at the back. She could be mid-pack. So my primary concern was to get over before the first turn as best I could. And then if she's good enough, she's good enough.
Pascal Berry's been pretty tough in the Breeders' Cup, huh? Did you feel like you were pretty well mounted even though you hadn't been on her?
She had excellent form, you know, running against males a lot over there and running very well. Beat Dome Driver last time, who won the mile here last year. So she had credentials.
Jerry, you're just surging to the lead and beyond the lead in this Breeders' Cup race for leading jockey, huh?
Well, I won't get skunked today at least, Donna. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Well, Six Perfections, even though Jerry said she had credentials, and indeed she did, when she was acting up behind the gate, he must have been saying to himself, you know, what did I get into here? Well, here's what he got into. Look at her move between horses with no problem. Bailey encouraging her with the right-hand whip. Six Perfections holding off Touch of the Blues in Century City. And Six Perfections, the filly, upsets the boys to win the Breeders' Cup Mile. Welcome back to Santa Anita and the World Thoroughbred Championships, where the 3-year-old filly Six Perfections has won the Breeders' Cup Mile, owned by the Flaxman Holdings Limited, bred in France by Famille Niarchos. 3-year-old filly by Celtic Swing from Yoga by Riverman. The first filly since Ridgewood Pearl in 1995 to win the mile. Royal Heroine and Mies twice also beat the boys to win the mile. She's also the third French-bred winner of this race. She paid $12.60, as you see. Touch of the Blues was second, and Century City ran third. That exacta $76.80, a $1 exacta. Let's go down to Trevor to analyze the race. Trevor, we heard Jerry Bailey said she had a tight trip the entire way.
Well, you know, Tom, when they put 14 on the mile on the turf at Santa Anita, you just know that's going to happen. They were in real tight towards the rear. Funny enough, here is Jerry Bailey right here on 6 perfections, and Kent DeSormo's not in this particular shot, but he too had to come from far behind here, and you'll see Jerry Bailey here. When the gods are with you, they're really with you. Just gets a perfect run through. What a magnificent filly, though. She's never been out of the first 2 in 10 career starts. An English Guineas winner, so you know that she can run. Here's to touch the blue on the outside. Touch of the blues, and of course in the white cap at 6 perfections. They almost had identical trips, but the filly outkicks the colt here, and it is 6 perfections, just getting the perfect trip, perfect ride from Jerry Bailey, and she goes on to win convincingly. Great run from Touch of the Blues, and how about that huge long shot Century City coming out of nowhere, flying late, had to settle for 3rd, but a big run from him. Let's go to Kenny.
Thanks, Trevor. Kent DeSormo here. He and Jerry Bailey put on a European-style riding clinic, turning down the lane for home. And Kent, as you were about 1/8 of a mile out coming into the turn, you actually appeared to be a little bit ahead on Touch of the Blues, ahead of the filly that won.
Yeah, I got the tendency on the filly, and position I need. All I've got to do is hold her at bay, but I came with a full bore speed, just running at my speed, and the filly hadn't just got out. As I approached this turn right here,
you're in the middle of the picture in the blue and white.
I'm full speed ahead right now. I've just gotten a half a neck on this filly inside of me, and there she goes. She just turned it on and found a gear we couldn't find. What a minute, really. So all credit to Dale. This colt was perfect today. He's just a pleasure to ride, and multi-talented. Unfortunately, that filly ran too good today.
Well, congratulations. You get a 2nd place. I know you'd rather be in the winner's circle, but you were sportsmanlike. Congratulating Jerry Bailey.
Well, he rode a nice race as well, and he was well mounted.
All right. Good luck the rest of the way. Kent DeSormo aboard Touch of the Blues. He said he liked that early fractions. He knew it set up for a closing style. He was just hoping it would be his. Mike?
Well, 6 perfections is the winner in the mile. The New York Coast Racing manager, Alan Cooper, Pascal Barry, the trainer, and a great ride, of course, by Jerry Bailey to make the presentation. President and CEO of NetJets, Mr. Richard Santulli.
Gives me great pleasure for the 2nd year in a row to present you with the NetJets Breeders' Cup Mile Trophy. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
To win it.
Absolutely well done. And as he said, for the 2nd time in a row, Pascal Barry brings last year it was Dome Driver. This year the filly does just an impressive winner in a tough field.
The filly beat Dome Driver for half lengths 2 months ago in Paris, and this filly is exceptional. She always runs very well. She has very good turn of foot. She came here. It's a very long way. The track is a bit hard for her. The weather is very hot, and even with everything, she does the maximum.
I mean, it's unbelievable. She's now had what, 10 races, never worse than 2nd.
Yes. and the jockey rode a perfect race. She has a very bad draw. He stay quite behind. He give her a chance on the other opposite, and magnifique. I'm very happy.
Who have you got in the mile next year?
Maybe her.
Maybe her. And Jerry from the 13 post.
You will be fit next year.
Yeah. All right, so we got you a jockey commitment, everything. How about that? From the 13 hole, there was a lot of traffic problems there. You said you had a pretty good trip, though.
Yeah, the biggest concern is to try and get over. We had a meeting of the minds at the hotel last night, and he said if I needed to, I could place her mid-pack instead of out the back. And that's a lot of options to give me going into the first turn. I was able to get pretty close to the rail.
And she was flying at the end. You had some horses really running down the stretch here.
Tremendous turn of foot she had, and I knew they would be running at me as we turned for home, but I wanted to save as much kick as I could because I did place her in the middle of the pack.
6 perfections. She did it. Great job. Pascal, congratulations again. 6 perfections, the winner of the Breeders' Cup Mile, Tom.
All right, Mike, she did indeed quicken off the fastest opening quarter mile ever in the 20-year history of the Breeders' Cup Mile, 22-1. Irish Warrior soaring free for internet, finished 6th, designed for luck. Special Ring a disappointing 8th. Perfect Soul, Oasis Dream couldn't carry that speed, refused to bend to Karchi. And Peace Rules, the early pace setter. Bobby Frankel has had 2 favorites so far, and so far has failed to record that 24th Grade 1 win this year. And Frankel will be favored again in the next race, the Breeders' Cup Sprint, with Jerry Bailey aboard Aldebaran. He wins on 6 perfections and is closing in on his own world's leading mark of single season earnings. $22.8 million his runners have earned.
for the 2003 Breeders' Cup. When I got my wake-up call this morning at 7 a.m. West Coast time, the operator said, "Good morning, Mr. Costas. The expected high today will be 102 degrees. I don't know if we're there yet, but we're definitely on our way. It's already been a busy day for Hall of Fame jockey Jerry Bailey, and next up for him, it's the sprint where he'll ride Aldebaran. Earlier in the jockey's room, I spoke with him and fellow rider Mike Smith, who'll be aboard Blues the Standard in the sprint. Here it is. All right, Jerry Bailey, you've won the last 2 Breeders' Cup sprints. Your horse looks dead fit. He's the informed closer. The only knock would be he hasn't gone the 6 furlong distance. What do you think?
It is a question mark. Traffic's a question mark. Pace is also a question mark, but I think there'll be pace. Traffic, I got to get extremely lucky that I don't go too wide.
Jerry says he thinks there'll be pace, Mike, but a lot of people say, hey, the sprint, it's one out of the gate.
It certainly is, and that's probably the main concern for my horse. He tends to act up in there at times. We've been schooling him a lot. He's been a lot better. My biggest fear is just that he doesn't act up and get away good, because that's the important thing in the sprint.
In a way, this is so wild, it may have some sort of connection to rodeo. You going to draw on any of your experience riding in bush races back in New Mexico as a kid?
Well, I'm just going to sit very still on him. Like I said, he's pretty hot-blooded in the gate. You just want to stay real quiet on him, and hopefully he gets away running. If he does, I think he'll be one to reckon with.
Between the two of you, 8 of the last 10 Eclipse Awards. Jerry, in fact, the last 3 in a row. I know the late, great Willie Shoemaker had an influence on each. A quick comment about Shoe.
Well, he was my idol growing up. He was born about 30 miles from where I grew up in El Paso. A great guy to be around and come up under.
Mike?
I just miss him tremendously. Matter of fact, I talked to him 5 days before he passed on, and we were talking about Azeri, and he was telling me to keep my head up, that I'll win one of these. And then a few days later, he passed on, so I'm going to really miss him.
Mike, Jerry, thanks. Good luck today.
Bob.
All right, Bob, as the fans crowded close to the rail in the paddock to take a look at the horses for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. And Bobby Frankel's shut out so far. He has Aldebaran, who is the favorite, 2-to-1 favorite. But it is his first career start at 6 furlongs. Good news for all you male chauvinists out there. There are no fillies or female riders in this race. The boys will have to get into the act this time. Zavada 25-1, Shake You Down 9-2, as you see. Blues the Standard 15-1, Yankee Gentleman 11, Captain Squire 17-1. Aldebaran continues to be the betting favorite for Bobby Frankel and Jerry Bailey. Let's go to Kenny Rice.
All right, thanks, Tom. Jeff Mullins doing some work here on Captain Squire, getting him ready. He'll break from post position number 13. He has his blinkers off today. That's one of the equipment changes. He was second the last time out here in the ancient title. 2 for 3 over this track. This is a track that he likes. And Mullins earlier this week said he knows he's got a long shot, but he's willing to take a chance. Hi, Jeff.
How you doing, Kenny?
I'm good. So you're doing, you've made a change here. The blinkers come off. You got an outside post position. I noticed you were putting the tongue tie on him. What other changes, and how do you feel about him right now?
Well, we lightened up on his training. He's one of those horses that he don't rebound that quickly off his races, but we lightened up on his training quite a bit, and he's really come to life here the last 3 or 4 days, and hopefully we got him on the mark today.
And you've got the outside post, so what about that 13?
Well, I hope it's lucky 13 today. So I really don't see it as a disadvantage to this horse, because it's from the outside, it's kind of a downhill slope to the rail, and the horse has got enough speed that I think that will be forwardly placed, and I think we got a pretty good shot.
Okay, good luck to you, Jeff Mullins, who sends out his first Breeders' Cup starter. Now let's go over to Bob Newmeyer.
You're looking at trainer Scott Lake. He's a master claimer. Since he claimed Shake You Down, he's won 6 of his last 7. The story here about who had him before the current owner, Robert Cole, as we take a look at Shake You Down. This horse was originally owned by a couple of New England lads by the name of Craig Hand and Tim O'Donoghue. Tim was an orphan, and after this horse started running, he did a family biological search of his father, and believe it or not, his father was Luigi Gino, a horse trainer from Maryland. So they sent the horse to Gino, and they won races in Maryland. But the guys had a little down in their luck with their personal lives, needed a few bucks. They took a chance of running this horse for a claiming tag in Aqueduct. That's where Lake sprung, claimed the horse for $65,000, and he and his owner, Mr. Cole, have won over $500,000. So today, somewhere in New England, a couple of original owners, Craig Hand and Tim O'Donoghue, are watching and wondering about what might have been. Tom, back to you.
All right, Bob, good story. And Charles, a little unusual this year that all the sprinting strength seems to be in the East. Usually California is the home to the speedsters.
Well, you think of it that way, but Shake You Down has been one of the dominant sprinters in the East. Scott Lake, as Bob just said, claimed this horse. He has been the king of claiming in the last few years. Scott Lake's been training 12 years. He's got 165 horses. He puts 135,000 miles a year on his car driving around the East Coast tracks. And you remember, he almost upset the whole sprint last year with Thunderello at a huge price.
Another interesting note this year, out of the ordinary, the sprint has never included more than 5 3-year-olds in the field, and there are 6 of them entered this year. Let's check in with Mike. Sorry, Charles.
Thanks, Tom. And Bobby Frankel so far is 0 for 2 with 2 favorites. I believe Peace Rules went off favorite. I know Sight Seek did. I tried to talk to Bobby. He was not in the mood to talk right now. He saddles Aldebaran in here, and Aldebaran is trying to do something no horse has ever done, and that's win the sprint without even racing at 6 furlongs. He has had a race at 6.5 furlongs where he finished second. He loves 7 furlongs. If this race were at 7 furlongs, I think he'd be a stand-up, but he's going to have to really fly at the end to do something he's never done before, and that's win this race at 6 furlongs. So right now, Bobby Frankel 0 for 2, trying for another favorite here, Tom, with Aldebaran.
All right, Mike, so Bobby Frankel getting his game face on now. And Charlie, before I cut you off there, you had something to say?
Well, I was just talking about Aldebaran. He is a horse who's going to come from off the pace, and we always think of the sprint as such speed, but most often it's won by horses coming from off the pace to pick up the pieces after the silly early fractions. Lee de Justice, Elmhurst, Cardmania, horses like that. And if Aldebaran can get up close to the lead as he did in the forego, he was there. He was right there at the head of the stretch. But he's going to have a really perfect trip to be able to do that.
And the jockeys making their way out to get their final instructions from the trainers. Look at Gary Stevens. See him in action in the sprint. And Jerry Bailey. He didn't have to change colors, did he? The Flaxman Holding silks that he wore riding 6 Perfections. He's riding for Bobby Frankel here.
Of course, it'll be up to Jerry to judge that pace and make his move.
Let's listen in.
They said she was the best over there. I believe it. All right. Hey, John.
Bobby Frankel's not one to give too many orders, so there may not be much to hear.
Well, he's got 2 good riders. John Velasquez there on the left rides Midas Eyes, who is also a Frankel trainee. And Steve Asmussen with Pat Day. Pat Day is the leading money-winning Breeders' Cup jockey of all time. And, of course, Steve's brother Cash was the American jockey who went to France and led the jockey standings in that country for many years, now retired. And the Asmussen family, their father Keith, Cash, and Steve have quite an operation going based in Laredo, Texas. Jerry Bailey looking for back-to-back wins, and Frankel looking for that elusive 24th Grade 1 victory of the year, which would be the all-time record. And Bailey a leg up on Aldebaran. And none of them, even though the temperature has risen steadily, Charles, none of them seem to be overly sweating at this point.
Tom, touch wood, so far all of these horses have coped very well. The temperatures will, of course, now continue to rise through this early afternoon time until the last race is run. So while we've been lucky so far, let's hope the worst is not ahead.
Midas Eyes, Frankel trainee 7-1, Aldebaran 2-1, also trained by Bobby Frankel. Everybody else beyond that, double digits, as you see. And the horse is about to make their way out to the track. Great Notion is the 10 horse, Tyler Bays. And Cajun Beat with Cornelio Velasquez, his second Breeders' Cup ride. That's Captain Squire. And $1,000 to start this horse. He's won 3 graded stakes at 6 furlongs since he was claimed for $65,000 in March. 3 horses Posse, a 3-year-old colt ridden by Pat Day. Best races have come on and off track. He's 1 for 4 at 6 furlongs. Number 4 is Valid Video, a Florida-bred 3-year-old who's making his first start against older horses. His first start since August. His only sprint distance defeat was on a sloppy track back in May. Number 5 is Midas Eyes, the Bobby Frankel, John Velasquez team. 3-year-old faces older for the first time. He's been off since June with a foot problem. He has speed, but never run at 6 furlongs. Number 6, Aldebaran. It's the other Frankel horse, named for the star that represents the eye in the Taurus the Bull constellation. Usually likes those little longer distances, never run at 6 furlongs, but Frankel thinks he should be sprint champion regardless of what happens today. 7 is Ethan Mann, the long shot, making only his 3rd start after a 16-month layoff, and as we said, 2nd in the Phoenix Breeders' Cup his last out. The 8 horse is Blues the Standard. Claimed 5 different times, twice for $10,000 last year, but since Ted West took over, he's been in the money 8 of 9 and has won 7 races here at Santa Anita. Number 9 is Private Horde, the first Breeders' Cup horse for Jason Lumpkins and trainer Joe Kane, who keeps this colt at his farm in Russell Springs, Kentucky, 100 miles from Churchill Downs. Takes a step up in class today. The 10 horses, Great Notion, Tyler Bay's up. 3-year-old colt who's riding a 5-race losing streak. He was 6th in the Phoenix at Keeneland. Number 11 is Cajun Beat, another 3-year-old who was impressive in his last race, the Kentucky Cup Sprint at Turfway. Cornelio Velasquez has the mount on Cajun Beat. Number 12 is Yankee Gentleman. Julie Crone rode him his last 2 starts, but P. Val up today because Valenzuela is said to be the best gate rider in California. Yankee Gentleman finished 4th in the ancient title. And number 13 is Captain Squire, the first Breeders' Cup starter for the very successful Jeff Mullins. We heard from him earlier, taking the blinkers off despite a 2nd in the ancient title with them. Said he wants Captain Squire to see what's coming. That's the field of 13 for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Let's see if our handicappers can pick a winner. Still looking for that elusive first one.
Well, we really are, Tom. 0 for 3, and this isn't an easy spot to try to get the first win. Matter of fact, I hate to tell you this, Tom will really holler at me for this one, but in the 10 times I've picked this race on NBC, I've had 1 winner in the sprint.
It's about your normal percentage, though, about 10%. We got to get off the schneid here, though, don't we?
Exactly.
I think this is a specialist race for 6 furlong horses. That's why I'm going for Shake You Down. Again, he loves the distance. There's a lot of speed in here, but he's the quickest, so I call him the speed of the speed. But Mike Luzzi from the 2, Mike, cannot make any mistakes. This horse absolutely, positively must break sharply today.
He has to be in front or very close to it, and I just think the pace is going to be torrid. I think Valid Video could be part of the pace, but I also think that he can be rated just a little bit, so I went for him. He's got what I call tactical speed. He's a pretty good price in here. I like the fact that you talked about it. He's 3 for 3 at 6 furlongs, so you know he can handle the distance. We talked about Aldebaran. If it was 7 furlongs, you could probably like him, but 6 furlongs he can win, but I just have to take a little shot on a price horse in here that I think can be running from just off the pace, and that's Valid Video.
Yeah, and I think as you watch this race, look for a horse out of the left part of your screen down the stretch that will probably be Aldebaran. The question is, can he get up at this 3/4 distance? I think his work is cut out for him. But there he is with Jerry Bailey and Frankel again looking for that elusive grade 1. If this was 7 furlongs, he'd be even money.
Yeah, you know, he's the best horse in here. Look at all his grade 1s. He's the best horse in here. But how often have you ever seen a horse in a big race do something they've never done before? And he's never even raced at 6 furlongs. It would be a great training feat.
But in a way, the unexpected has happened. They said Julie couldn't win from the 14. They said 6 Perfections couldn't win from the outside. And they say Aldebaran can't win at 6. So maybe they'll upset the apple cart in this race as well, Tom Hammond.
All right, Bob, what surprises me is the fact that Mike had a winner, even though he's only had 1 in picking the sprint. Aldebaran, the Cybercappers don't care about that never raced at 6 furlong note. Shake You Down and Valid Video, their selections as well. Log on to NBCSports.com and make your selection. Aldebaran, the favorite here.
Where can you find all your...
Welcome back to Santa Anita. It's 83 degrees now, but Bobby Frankel doesn't appear to be sweating too much. Looking for that record 24th grade 1 win. That would be the international record. He already has failed to win with 2 favorites. He has Aldebaran, who's making his last race before retiring to Darby Dan Stud in Kentucky. And he also has the 3-year-old Midas Eyes. 2 good chances here in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. And here are the odds at the moment. Zavada 30, Shake You Down 7-2, 7-1 Valid Video. Midas Eyes at 8-1, Aldebaran 2-1, Ethan Mann at 22-1. Blues the Standard 14, Private Horde 25, Great Notion at 50, Cajun Beat 21, Yankee Gentleman 10, and Captain Squire is 14-1. So the Breeders' Cup Sprint, 6 furlongs, the most dominant distance in American racing. 3/4 of a mile, 1 turn to the finish, and the break essential. You have to get out of the gate well here to have a chance to win most times at 6 furlongs. Let's go down to Mike Battaglia for a comment.
Well, Tom, Blue's the standard as really a blue-collar horse in here. This is a horse that's been claimed no less than 5 times in his career, actually been claimed for $10,000 twice, believe that or not. Ted West plunked down $50,000 for him back in December right here at Santa Anita, and he has had a banner year. He's won 4 out of 9 and over $395,000 since West claimed him for the $50,000. He loves Santa Anita. 11 starts here, 7 wins, 2 seconds. He loves the distance. No worse than third in 9 tries at the distance. So if this horse can get home or even hit the board today, what a story for an next $10,000 claimer. Blue's the standard right now on the board at 14-1.
Ted West done a great job with him.
You'd never know to look at him as quiet as he was standing there that he's really a tough customer. He wears a muzzle. He's been through several grooms and several lead ponies, but he's a hard-hitting horse in the afternoon.
Loading in the gate for the $1 million Breeders' Cup Sprint here at the World Thoroughbred Championships. Valid video. Jockey Edgar Prado into the gate. And number 12, Yankee Gentleman on the outside with P. Val, who's already won a race today. And as they continue to load, the Breeders' Cup Sprint up next. Tom Durkin will have the call of this 6 furlong dash.
There's Aldebaran, and you're not going to see him very much in the early going. Comes from way out of it. In the gate. And they're off. And Cajun Beat breaking alertly for the lead. Captain Squire right there on the outside. Ethan Mann is there. Great Notion under a hustling ride early. Midas Eyes up and close to the pace. Down toward the inside, Zavada is right there. Valid Video and Shake You Down, and it's a scramble for the lead among them. And Great Notion had to check out of there. Lose the standard down toward the inside. Then farther back, it's Posse. Private Horde 7 lengths back to the latent power of Aldebaran. He's 15 lengths from the lead, but he's got a sizzling pace to run at. 21 seconds flat for the opening quarter. Fast and furious here in the sprint, and Shake You Down comes away with the lead. Cajun Beat right there. Now he pokes his head in front. Zavada toiling, trying to stay with those 2. Yankee Gentleman looms a threat right there on the outside. Midas Eyes is now 5th toward the rail. Captain Squire under a driving set. Aldebaran still about 10 lengths for the lead, trying to weave his way through the field. Coming into the final furlong, and Cajun Beat emerges with the lead. Shake You Down is there, and here comes Blues the standard up the fence. Yankee Gentleman, Aldebaran toward the inside, and Posse. They are all chasing Cajun Beat, who got him beat 1 by 2. Blues the standard finishes second. Shake You Down and Posse. And Cajun Beat, look at this time here, 107 and 4. Sensational time here in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, and Cajun Beat, the winner here at a big price this afternoon.
Indeed, Tom Durkin, the heat wasn't the only thing scorching today. Look at that time. 107.95 after a first quarter mile in 21 seconds flat. Cajun Beat, one of the half-dozen 3-year-olds in the field, a Grand Slam gelding. Cajun Beat, ridden by Cornelia Velasquez, trained by Steve Margolis, the upset winner. And let me just take a peek at the tote board. Can't even find it. 22-1, 22-1 on Cajun Beat in the second Breeders' Cup ride by Cornelio Velasquez. Donna's with him.
Cornelio, you just got your first Breeders' Cup win. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, the owner, the trainer. Give me a lot of chance. Me, a lot of happy.
This is Steve Margolis, the trainer's first Breeders' Cup win. Also, what are you going to say to him when you get back to the unsaddling?
No, the good trainer, he good condition now.
I think Cornelio's awfully excited. Cornelio, do you know how fast you went? You just went 107 and change on this horse.
Yeah, he last time he worked good. He had a lot of chance. He told me a lot of chance in the race.
All right, Cornelio, congratulations. Very happy, and he can hardly talk, Tom.
No doubt. It's only his second Breeders' Cup ride, and he gets the money in the sprint. And for Steve Margolis, the first Breeders' Cup horse he has ever saddled, wins the $1 million sprint. Here he is out on the center of the track, Captain Squire, with the early lead, and Cajun Beat gets the money in the sprint. Cajun Beat to 3-year-old gelding by Grand Slam from Becky's Shirt by Cure of the Blues. Bred in Kentucky by John T.L. Jones Jr. and H. Smoot Falgren. Owned by the Padua stable, John and Joseph Hurricane. And here are the prices on Cajun Beat, the upset winner of the sprint, paying $47.60 to win. Blues, the standard, was second. Shake You Down was third. The dollar exacta were $380.10. Well, Trevor Denman, Cajun Beat surviving the fastest early fractions in Breeders' Cup history. 21 flat for the quarter, equal to fastest, and 43-1 for the half mile was the fastest ever in 20 Breeders' Cups.
Remarkably fast race, but I tell you what, a remarkably clean race. Invariably, when you line 13 of them going 6 furlongs. Here's Aldebaran, the favorite. Now let's watch him. Obviously, Jerry Bailey does not want to go to the front here. He's going to break just a little behind them. They're much too fast for him. He has no chance of going with them, but Jerry Bailey's quite happy with that. You can see he doesn't even try to push him. He just rests his hands down on the horse's neck and says, you pick up your own momentum when you want. He's dead last down the back straight. You can see he's making hard work of it early. He got just slightly interfered with coming for home. Here he is right here, and you can see obviously with that many horses in front of him, he doesn't have clear sailing. A slight ease. It did not cost him the race. Now Jerry Bailey's looking for somewhere to run, and you see he is running on. He's picking off horses one by one here, but unfortunately for him, Cajun Beat was long gone already. Gets a good run through down at the rail. Did not have to hesitate from the 3/16 pole home. He is closing gamely, but like the guy said before the race, he probably wants to go 7 furlongs in the 6 furlongs. He just could not get to that extremely fast Cajun Beat, who goes on to beat Lose the Standard. What about him? $10,000 claimer finishing up second.
All right, Trevor, and we'll see if Frankel's handicapping of the championship race comes true. He thought Aldebaran should be champion regardless of what happened today, and he did not get the money, but has had a tremendous year. And Shake You Down, who ran third, broke a step slow, and still managed to get up into the picture. Speaking of getting to the picture, we see Mike is there and ready for the presentation. Mike?
And this is really a happy winner's circle. John and Joe Hurricane, Satish Sanan, trainer Steve Margolis. We got the Kentucky connection here that just won this Breeders' Cup race. Congratulations, guys. To make the presentation, on behalf of FedEx, we have Ms. Nancy Altenberg, and to help her, star of Crossing Jordan, Jerry O'Connell.
Hi, on behalf of all the employees at FedEx, congratulations for an outstanding win, and I'm pleased because it's a personal friend of mine too. Congratulations, guys.
Jerry?
This is heavy, guys. Congratulations. Way to go, Steve. Great job.
Steve Margolis, what a job you've done. You just took over the training of this horse. You've had the horse 4 races. Moved just an unbelievable training job. You told me how good the horse was coming. I know this is an emotional win for you.
No, it was.
Just a great job.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, this horse, he just, every race, he just seemed to get stronger and better and better. And yeah, we took a big gamble coming here, but we all had confidence in the horse, and the fact that he just kept improving from work to work and from race to race. And just emotionally, it's just a wonderful feeling.
Well, the people in Kentucky know who you are. Now the people all around the country know what a trainer Steve Margolis is.
Well, that's what you need, the good horses to get to the good races for the good people. So.
Exactly. Satish Sanan, what a win for this horse. It went 7 and change, by the way. What a race.
It's a great race. You know, we people didn't give us a shot in this race, but, you know, Steve was telling me this horse has been the best he's ever been. He's training great, he was cool, and he's collected, and he just broke on top. I think Cornelius, you know, and he talked about it just before the race. Perfect break, just on top. We rode a great race.
And John and Joe, your first Breeders' Cup starter, your first winner. Just a quick comment from you guys.
We're just so excited and so thankful, and we appreciate everything, and the opportunity to be here was just fantastic.
And we thank Satish for letting us be a part of this. Satish's a great horseman.
What a job, guys. Congratulations. And Cornelio, quick comment. What a trip you got there. This horse got speed to burn.
Yeah, I think couldn't close the pace, but he got a lot of speed today. He's in the lead, the top of the trace, a lot of horses. He win easy win.
He really did, and 7 and change.
Yeah, 7 and change.
Well, great job. Congratulations, Cornelio, John and Joe, Satish, Steve. Great job. Great job. Cajun Beat, upset winner of the sprint.
And those are the colors of the Padua stable that Cornelio is wearing. It's their second Breeders' Cup win. They had Vindication, who won the Juvenile last year at Arlington Park. And Cajun Beat becomes the 5th 3-year-old to win the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Blistering early fractions, and he comes home the winner as you see the complete order of finish in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Well, coming up next, we'll visit the downhill turf course, the unique turf course here at Santa Anita for our next race. It is the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. And Tate's Creek, that's a Bobby Frankel horse. He has 3 in this race. Tate's Creek is 6-1. Yesterday at 12. Heat Hayes 6. Another Frankel horse. Islington at 3-1 from Europe. Mezzo Soprano at 8-1. Musical Chimes 4. Voodoo Dancer at 10. Risk Averse 30. Megahertz, the 3rd starter for Bobby Frankel. Disappointing day for him so far. 12-1. Dimitrova 12-1. As you saw the odds for the Filly and Mare Turf. They're in the paddock already. They'll be saddled soon. In the meantime, let's return to our studios in New York and rejoin Dan Hicks for the Allstate Sports Desk. Back to the Oak Tree meeting at Santa Anita Park. Breeders' Cup World Thoroughbred Championships. And next up, the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Tate's Creek at 5-1. Heat Hayes is 7-1. Islington 3-1. Musical Chimes a 4-1 shot. Voodoo Dancer at 6-1. And the others are double digits in the latest odds. And Charlesy, it's been a surprising day so far, as the Breeders' Cup always is. Well, it has been a wonderful day so far. And what's interesting is that the Europeans have done so well thus far, and I think they're going to be a very strong factor in this Filly and Mare Turf. These fillies are all very, very tough. Everyone says that this is not only the toughest card on Breeders' Cup Day, this might be one of the toughest Filly and Mare Turf events they've seen anywhere in the world. Very wide open. And for Bobby Frankel, it has to be a disappointing day so far. The favorites have all failed to win for him to get that 24th Grade 1 victory. He's coming right at him with 3 in this race, though. I know it. He is, but the Breeders' Cup has always been a little tough on Bobby. It really has. But he's got 3 very solid fillies in here. But I'll tell you, I think the European fillies will be very tough here. And I think that Neil Drysdale's filly, Musical Chimes, who's just been transferred here from Europe, I think Islington and Musical Chimes will be the ones. And Bobby may have another difficult race. Musical Chimes has had a trip over this course and was fast closing behind Tate's Creek in her last race. She ran her last quarter in something like 21 seconds. It was a phenomenal finish, and she just missed. But the filly who she didn't catch was one of Bobby Frankel's fillies, Heat Hayes. So it will be, again, a big showdown between the 2 of these. Now, this turf course at Santa Anita is very unique. Downhill turf course, the only right-hand turn in American racing. And they come to a point there where they have to jump over the dirt portion of the track. Not jump over. You don't want them to jump over it, but they cross it to get to the stretch of the turf course. They come down that hill, and they've been on the turf all the way, and then all of a sudden, here's this big, wide expanse of dirt, and they tend to want to kind of leap into it a little bit, and it can cause them to lose their footing. Then they're over in a flash, and then they're back on the turf. But it can be very disconcerting to a horse who's never seen it before, and sometimes even ones who've raced on it still have trouble with it. We'll keep an eye on that a little later on. Right now, let's check in with Kenny. All right, Tom. With me is Sir Michael Stott, who trains Islington. And I noticed you were sponging her off a bit just a few minutes ago. She didn't like the heat earlier this week. I mean, who does in this 98-degree weather? But how's she responding?
Yeah, well, she always gets a little bit warm in all of her races, you know, once you come to tack her up. And she'll certainly get warm today. And last year, you had all kinds of problems. You finished 3rd, but you look, it was steadied repeatedly throughout. I know you're hoping for a much better trip today for her here. Yes, I don't think we had all the luck in running last year, and it was a pretty creditable performance. So we're hopeful today. She seems in good shape. All right, good luck, and we'll all try to stay dry here as well. Now let's go over and check with Mike Battaglia. Thanks, Kenny. And Donnie Von Hemel is the trainer of Bien Nicole. And Donnie, we just had a Kentucky horse win, a horse coming from Turfway Park. Bien Nicole's coming in from Keeneland, another Kentucky horse. That one had speed. You got speed. See any parallels there?
Well, let's keep the trend going, and hopefully we'll have a good trip.
She ran a huge race at Keeneland last time. It opened up, what, like an 11, 12-length lead? Is that your strategy again?
Well, I think we'll have to kind of see how the race unfolds. There's a couple of horses in here that could show some pace, and our mare we'll rate off them if she has to, but we'll make sure that if it's a slow pace, we'll probably be up there. Even the time before at Arlington when she got beat in the, what was the Beverly D that she ran in? She ran a huge race that day. We were thrilled. Her last 3 or 4 races have just been great, and we feel like we're coming in the race in good order and think we've got a big chance. And Donnie Von Hemel knows his way around a good horse, and this one is a good one. Make no mistakes about it. She's going to be in front or close to the lead. Good luck, Donnie. Tom? All right, Mike, and just looking at she was a long shot on the odds board, and speaking of odds, what are the odds of this? We spoke earlier this week with 87-year-old Charles Schick, who lives down in St. Petersburg, Florida, a man who in his earlier days broke to saddle both
Seabiscuit and War Admiral. What are the odds of that? He said that Seabiscuit was slow and easy, just wanted to sleep and eat, but not difficult to be around or hard to get to work. And War Admiral sort of picked up on things right away. And we asked him if he could separate the two. They, of course, were engaged in that great match race back in 1938. And Charles Schick claims that had War Admiral gotten a better ride, maybe with Jerry Bailey up, he would have won the race. That there wasn't a head separating the two, War Admiral and Seabiscuit. Some of the great stories that surround the sport of thoroughbred racing. Jerry Bailey waiting to take his place aboard Heat Hayes, again teaming up with Bobby Frankel.
And there is Heat Hayes. She actually ran against Dimitrova. It was Tate's Creek who held off Musical Chimes. I stand corrected. But Heat Hayes has been a very solid filly in her own right. As you say, one of Bobby's three. And Jerry Bailey is in such a zone right now, Tom. He set a single season earnings record of 20 million plus, and he's done it 3 years in a row. I mean, he is just in an echelon by himself right now in these American riders.
And Bobby Frankel must be wondering what he has to do to win a Breeders' Cup race today. He's had 3 favorites, all have failed to win. And he has a 3-pronged entry for this filly and mare turf, not coupled in the betting, but 3 horses saddled by Bobby Frankel in this $1 million race.
You mentioned he got married a few weeks ago. He's leaving on his honeymoon tomorrow morning. His bride Bonita may not want to go with him if things don't change.
He may not be in a very good mood, huh? And the horses making their way around the paddock. That's Tate's Creek. The yellow ribbon was the race she won, holding off Musical Chimes. And Patrick Valenzuela will have the mount on Tate's Creek. So we're getting ready for our next race, the filly and mare turf. It's over 1.25 miles on the grass. We'll be right back. We're back at Santa Anita. The riders are up. There was a problem with the saddle pad on Long Crest. That was the reason for the delay. We thought they were taking a long time, and we're told that was the problem for the delay. As we update the odds, Tate's Creek at 5-1, Heat Hayes at 7, Islington 5-2 favorite, Musical Chimes at 9-2, Voodoo Dancer 7-1, and the others are double digits. Mike.
Tom, with Kim Delaney, star of the hit show Philly for a while, now back on NYPD Blue, and she's just a racing fan. She's a friend of Bob Levy's. He bred Dimitrova, and she's here as a fan today. And what do you think of the proceedings so far, Kim?
Oh, I love it. I mean, it's a lot of fun. We've won a little bit so far.
Yeah.
We're doing okay.
Gambling, you've won a little bit?
A little bit.
Would you like to come on and be a guest handicapper? Because we're doing horribly.
I've just kind of, I just pick out the ones I like, the names I like.
What do you know about Dimitrova?
Bob does better stuff.
You're right.
He bred, I just know that Bob bred her.
She's coming off a couple of big wins.
Yes.
Are we betting our money?
Absolutely.
How about what should we look for in NYPD Blue coming up?
There's some fun stuff with Dennis Franz and some interesting stuff with the serial killer we're looking after for a few episodes.
Thank you, Kim. We appreciate you coming on. Kim Delaney, thank you.
Okay.
Tom?
Careful, Mike. You could lose your job very easily. And after that delay to get things straightened out on Long Crest, the saddle and saddle pad of Edgar Prado, apparently all is well as they come toward the track.
Long Crest has had an eventful week. She lost her exercise rider the first day she came out to gallop here at Santa Anita. She didn't go very far, but hadn't been smooth sailing for her just yet.
This is a $1 million race for fillies and mares 3 and up, and they'll go on the grass at 1.25 miles. The filly and mare turf, the newest of the Breeders' Cup races. European runners have won just once in the 4 previous runnings of this race. Banks Hill in 2001 at Belmont. But this is the strongest contingent the Europeans have sent over here to contest the filly and mare turf. This is the race last year that Bobby Frankel ran 1-2 with Starine and Banks Hill. Number 1 is the Frankel horse Tate's Creek, named for a road in Lexington near the Juddmont farm. She's a half-sister to Sightseek, who was the beaten favorite in the distaff. This filly remarkably consistent on grass, first or second in 14 of her 15 starts. 1.25 miles stretches her limit, but she won at that distance in the yellow ribbon. Number 2 yesterday, the Beatles would appreciate this filly, named for their song, as was her dam or mother Jude. Irish trained and winner of the Irish 1,000 Guineas. Number 3 is Heat Hayes, the second Frankel trainee with Bailey up. She began her career in France, and since coming to the U.S. last December, she's won 4 of 6, including the Grade 1 Beverly D at Arlington Park.